Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Say what, man?
Say what?
Say what?
All right, home team, episode 362. Holy moly. We got a lot of stories. I feel like it's been a minute, but it's not because I think we did a podcast last Friday. But a lot's going on. The great Joe Rogan got a $250 million contract, renews with Spotify.
Good for him.
I have some thoughts on that. Congrats to both of them. We'll talk about that. Tucker Carlson, spotted in Moscow. What's he doing there? No one knows.
Drinking a mule.
Is he playing a game? Is he there to watch a show? Is he there just kind of going family vacation like, Bernie Sanders style?
Yeah.
Is it like a 25-year anniversary to like what is it when you're married and you want to do it again? You're
Rekindle the
there's a word for it, Tom. What's the word?
Reinvigorate.
You
what is it?
not re-celebrate. There's like
you recommit your vows.
you recommit your vow. Maybe he's recommitting his vows. But CNN lost their minds.
They hate
They're
that.
deeply concerned.
He could be on the caviar tasting floor.
Maybe it is a valid concern, and we'll address that.
That's their guy. How dare he?
Aside from that, 50 Cent blasts Mayor Adams for wanting to turn him into a quarter by giving $53 million of prepaid credit cards to migrant families. And Mayor Adams responds with a request that says, I hope 50 calls me. And if he likes what I have to say, maybe even says something in his next song. He's saying, can you put me next song? We'll talk about that. New York City wants to give $53 million of prepaid credit cards to migrant families. I'm a migrant. I'll take some right there.
Yeah.
Elon Musk got some issues with Tesla. They didn't approve his $55 billion pay package, was struck down. He was told to go to rehab. Anyways, we got a bunch of stuff there. We'll talk about the stock, how it's doing. Luxury home values to decline across the globe, not across the country, not across California or the States, the globe, right?
That's that
it's going to decline, and Tom's got some numbers for Austin. Nikki Haley makes a surprise appearance at SNL, and it was so good that she's about to drop out of South Carolina. That's how good it was, but it is what it is.
Acting career.
And she said, states can't succeed because people are worried about Texas leaving. And because they're forcing Texas to do some stuff with the border. And what if Texas wants to leave and, become its own republic? We'll see what's going to happen there. Polls with Trump. This is a bad part. Joe, if you're watching, Joe Biden, skip this part on a podcast. It's not, I don't even think he watches anything. By the way, do you guys know he was asked for the second year in a row to do the traditional Super Bowl 3-minute interview? He turned it down for the second year in a row. Turned down the traditional 3. Every year the president gets like the 3-minute interview.
He
turned it down.
They can't have him.
That's right. Biden, another hot mic. Joy Reid had a hot mic moment. Had to go on The View and defend herself as a Christian, non-war person that doesn't like Abbott and blamed it on Abbott. This whole thing with the hot mic was Abbott's fault. You know that, right? Abbott said, say another effing war. That was all Abbott texting saying, you better say it or else.
And he forced her.
That's what's going on. There's a lot of drama going on. We don't, again, this is pure speculation. Allegedly, folks, these are insurance words that we have to use. Yeah. Baby boomers are approaching peak burden on the economy. Adam's deeply concerned. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
Fed expects to make 3 rate cuts this year. That scared the crap out of the market, and the market tanked because they wanted more rate cuts. Not 3. They wanted 4. They wanted to do what LeBron said. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 7. Have you seen this when he's going to Miami? We're going to win?
Yeah, of course.
Vermont is debating a millionaire tax. Massachusetts added $1 billion.
Ben and Jerry are scared.
What happened?
Ben and Jerry are the billionaires.
Then Vermont, yes. Massachusetts added $1 billion to its budget and paid for school lunches with a similar tax. Dad loses custody for refusing to trans son. How dare he? How dare he?
You're not letting your kid choose his truth. That's ridiculous.
Who cares if he's only 11 years old? He can think for himself, can't he?
He was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
This kid was how old?
I think he was how about this? He was way too young, and the mother was the one pushing.
By the way, if you guys watched 60 Minutes this weekend, 60 Minutes showed China. A video I'm going to show you guys. This is a crazy video. I don't know.
100%.
The video that in China is going viral on TikTok, showing Chinese people how to cross the border to the U.S.
Through Mexico.
Unbelievable.
Through Mexico. TikTok winning.
I'll show you this video. We'll have some fun with that.
In China, don't they have one of those things that Trump was talking about?
Wall?
Yeah.
Don't they have the Great Wall
That's
of China?
right. They definitely know how to go over a wall.
Yes.
They're pros at it. But border deal to cut illegal immigration. They're calling it a border deal. But wait till you see the money. When we break down the money, you're going to say this is not the border deal. This is called the Ukraine deal.
Yep.
When you see the data. Former Tesla director Larry Ellison invited Musk to Hawaii to dry out from, drugs. Apparently, reports. This is Insider. Obviously, Insider doesn't like anything Musk does. And there's a few other things here. American Hustle Dime. Maybe we'll get into that. And then we'll address a couple other videos. But before we get into it, I want to give you guys a couple things to be thinking about. We had a meeting early this year, Monday, January 3rd. And I said, I want the merch, Future Looks Bright, to be in 1 million people's hand this year, okay? I want 1 million people wearing Future Looks Bright hats. My concern isn't about the margins or any of that stuff. I want to fight off all the negativity that's going on in America by having 1 million people in the streets. The other day I was at Universal Studios. We had a great time this weekend.
Amazing.
We went there hanging out with trans people at the, what do you call it? The Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras
By the way,
tour.
when I'm saying, I'm not joking with you. There was 50 trans LGBT dancing, talking to all the kids that were with us. Hi.
Half naked. Not talking to us. They weren't
Going
talking
like
to us.
this.
They're
men.
They were literally, and they were on stilts, bending down, talking to
with
the
a
kids.
park coordinator
This
there,
is
and I went up to the
Universal.
coordinator.
This weekend, not Disney, Universal this
Universal
weekend.
and Tom.
You expect that at Disney. Universal?
But I mean, they're kind of connected. And then Tom goes up to one of the guys that work there, and as I'm walking away past,
He says, do you like is it a good life? Tom was interested.
Yeah, he goes,
Can I get your
he goes,
number?
excuse me, is this part of you guys? And then I walked away to the bathroom. Tom was checking them. Like, how is this cool? But
Dylan was talking.
And he
Dylan's
said,
like,
yeah.
what is wrong with these guys that to do it here? 10-year-old kid was upset about it. Anyways, but I'm wearing a Future Looks Bright shirt, the purple and gold, the one that was a limited one that we did last week. And I'm wearing a purple and gold, what do you call it? These hats, right? I'm wearing these. I think we have like 30 of these left.
In honor of Kobe.
In honor of Kobe, yes. And I'm wearing these, and everyone's, Future Looks Bright, Future Looks Bright, Future Looks Bright. Conversations, right, that are being started. Why is that? Because people don't believe the future looks bright today. It scares the crap out of them when they see somebody say future looks bright. So this is what we're doing today. For anybody that purchases, any purchase you make today on the store with a minimum of a hat, you have to buy a hat. Obviously, if you do an order over $70, shipping is on us. But anything you order with the hat that says future looks bright, we have a lot of different colors, the blacks, the military, the white, the red, you pick and choose. You can even do these, but any orders you make today, we're going to do a raffle, okay? And on the Thursday podcast, we're going to announce 2 winners that are going to get a ticket to go to the Vault Conference. It's a $750 ticket to go to the Vault Conference on the house because we want you to spend 3 days with us in Palm Beach at the Vault Convention Center. We'll be at the Palm Beach Convention Center to make 2025 the beginning of the greatest years of your life. And when you're around the Valuetainment audience, they're just like you. If you follow this content, you're like, I follow this content for this reason. Imagine being in a room with 10,000 other people that believe the future looks bright. So again, Rob, put a link below for anybody who goes and places the order. By the way, I even think we have a campaign going right now that if you buy a hat, you get a second one for free. And again, if you order $70 plus, we're sending the shipping and handling will be on the house. Again, 1 million people I want wearing this worldwide, confusing the hell out of everybody that thinks the future looks bleak. I want it to be future looks bright to start a conversation because that's what this brand represents, Valuetainment, that the future looks bright. There's the link right there for you. Buy one, get one free of those hats. And once again, on Thursday, we'll announce 2 winners going to the Vault with us.
Love it.
To spend 3 days with us. Having said that, let's get right into it. Okay, I'm going to do a story first, Rob. Let's go into the Joe Rogan story here. So Joe Rogan. Let's do Tucker Carlson, since that's the first one they want to do. Tucker Carlson being spotted in Moscow sparks frenzied speculation. This is Newsweek, okay? Dramatic. So former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, recent presence in Moscow, where he was seen attending the Bolshoi Theater on February 1st, has ignited speculation about the purpose of his visit, particularly whether he aims to interview Russian Vladimir Putin. During his trip, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed excitement about the prospect of Tucker Carlson interview with Putin, emphasizing the importance of individuals like Carlson in upholding a free press. Democrats and their propagandists in the media are spasming at the prospect of Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin against. This is a Newsweek story. We have a free press in this country, and it's people like Tucker Carlson who we depend on to speak the truth. In response to these speculations, Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov referred to Carlson's prior interview attempts with Putin and stated, "We'll have to wait and see whether such an interview materializes." Okay, so before I give my thoughts on this, Vinny, what are your thoughts about this here?
I think what he's doing is amazing. I think in the same sense of Trump, when Trump was like, for years, when he was like, what is wrong with trying to communicate with these people? How are you going to ignore an enemy? Why not sit down, talk to them, find out what's on their mind? I think Tucker going there is amazing to have a conversation to see where he's at. But notice how the left is losing their mind, Pat, because they can't make him look like he's a human being. Because everything from the Putin price hike to the Putin war, everything has to be negative, negative, negative. Don't talk, because guess what? If you make him into a normal civil person, then it's harder to call him an enemy on the news and try to start a war with him. That's what it is.
Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think Tucker's trying to be a part of the media. We've had things where, a while back when I was a young guy, I saw Barbara Walters interview Fidel Castro.
Weird.
And that was back when, hey, it's a free press going to a foreign country, trying to interview a controversial world dictator to see what he had to say. Is there a humanness under that? Is there an opening there? Is there something?
Tom, is that the one? Look at that. Look how young he looks.
Yeah, this Barbara Walters went and interviewed Fidel Castro. So why is it so freaking crazy and that the press is losing its mind that Tucker Carlson wants to follow in the footsteps of, and Barbara Walters, when you read about her bio, she was a journalist from the Walter Cronkite era. She ended her life a little bit, now what we would call maybe a little woke, but she was a journalist. So why is it so crazy that Tucker Carlson goes to interview Vladimir Putin to see what he's going to say and to see if there's something there? It doesn't mean that he's being buddies with him and taking him quail hunting that Tucker likes to do in North Carolina. It means he's over there to talk to him. Why is that so bad?
Adam.
Look, I think people want to see this interview.
Of course.
We've had this conversation of who's on your top 5, top 10 list of people you'd love to speak to. Putin is on that list. I don't understand the obsession, especially on the far right fringe, that are pro-Putin people. There's definitely talk of that. I don't think Tucker is pro-Putin. I just don't think he is pro the war in Ukraine. The most ironic thing to me, though, is this. We're talking about this free press conversation when there's no free press in Russia. Russia is ranked 148th out of 180 countries, according to the Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index. The beautiful thing about America is we have the First Amendment. Freedom of the press, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom to gather, everything we understand about that. So it's just interesting that the bedrock of freedom of press, America, Tucker Carlson, arguably the biggest reporter in the world right now, is going to speak to the dictator known as Vladimir Putin, potentially.
Yeah, and by the way, CNN showed, they're like, yeah, and he is in the Kremlin where he's getting a free battery charge without having to worry about the Wi-Fi with being spied on. And, obviously the news is saying this, and CNN is making fun of the fact that you trust the Wi-Fi in Russia. Right. I don't know if I trust the Wi-Fi in Russia. I don't know if I'm, when you go to places like this, you have to know, you don't necessarily know what they're going to be doing to get access to you.
Of course.
You have to assume 100%, especially if your name is Tucker Carlson, that they're probably, you have to use a fresh laptop. You have to go with a fresh computer that's nothing else is in there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared. You have to think like a person that would be involved in some kind of secret intelligence to see how they would be thinking. You have to, and I'm sure him being who he is and his camps filled with some sharp guys that, we've spoken to a couple of them. I'm sure they're thinking that way. But at the same time, competition is always intimidated by a guy that's willing to get on a plane and fly to Russia to go interview somebody that everybody else is so afraid of interviewing, or you don't want to talk to because it's opposing ideas. Look, for me, I have my business plan here. This is very sacred. This is only mine, and nobody gets to read this. This is only for me, and it fires me up. When I write my business plan like this and I laminate it, it starts off with a letter to myself, and I got a list of guys that I'd like to do certain things with. You know who's on my list of people I want to talk to this year? Maduro. Maduro's not a right-wing guy. I want to talk to Maduro. I want to talk to certain people who are hardcore socialists. I have certain people on here that I like to talk to that a lot of people would say, you would talk to him? You would talk to her? Yes, I'm curious, okay? We just did a podcast with Bill Maher. I enjoy talking to him. I wish it went a different direction, but I enjoy talking to the guy because it's to see why does this person think the way he does. I'm excited to see what he does in the interview. And odds-wise, do you guys have any odds on what you think, whether the interview is taking place or not, based on how the media from Russia answered? What do you think the percentage is that's actually he's there to interview Putin? What is the percentage?
I think 90%. I think 90%.
Tom, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm above 85%. We'll do like Price is Right. I'll go 85%, Bob.
I think it's highly likely. That's why he's there. So, yeah.
Where are you at? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Rob, you think it's going to be happening?
I'm 50-50. It's either Putin or Snowden.
It's either Putin or Snowden.
Yeah, because Snowden's hiding out in Russia.
Yeah.
But either interview would be fantastic to watch.
How about this?
Maybe both.
When's the last
Maybe
time
both.
Putin did an interview with Free
Megyn
Press?
Kelly.
A while ago, yeah.
Megyn Kelly, what year was that?
6 years ago, 5 years ago.
So it's not.
When she first went to NBC is when it got done. So whatever that timeline was.
And he tried, Pat. So Tucker tried to have an interview with Putin before, but we wouldn't let him or something, and America was spying on him, right?
According to Tucker, the NSA hacked his signal messages after he was planning a trip to Russia to interview Putin. So the NSA started spying on Tucker when they found out he was going to go.
I believe it. When was this?
100%.
This was when he worked for Fox News. He mentioned this when he did the interview with the Nelk boys after he got fired from
I
Fox.
fully believe this.
So, Pat, can I ask you a question?
I fully believe it.
Why
If I was doing that going over there, I would start on my Signal account. Did you get the Coke from Hunter? I'd be populating my Signal account with all these intentional messages.
Admits the NSA hacked into the Signal messages. By the way, that means even Signal can get hacked into.
1,000%, of course. But my question to you is, why do you think, I mean, besides the obvious, why do you think the left is so do not go speak with this guy? Why do they hate and they're trying to stop him from going over there?
Why do they hate him speaking to Putin?
Why doesn't CNN, MSNBC, mainstream media, Biden, everybody does not want him to talk to this guy?
They want to control the narrative.
Well, no. Think about it from this standpoint. Obama went and hung out with who was he with in Cuba? Was it Chavez that he went to a baseball game with?
I thought he went to with Fidel Castro's brother, his brother.
So he went
Raul.
he went to
Trudeau's uncle. Go ahead.
Yes. So he went to a baseball game with him, and the right said, what kind of a situation is this? Why would you go have a conversation with him? And what is this all about? And da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
The difference is one is having a conversation. The other one is going to a game and being entertained by a game. Now, if you ask me, I don't have any problem with him doing this. But if he also does it with the other side, I don't have any problem doing that.
Yeah.
Like for me, I like the fact that Trump met with Putin. I like the fact that Trump met with Xi. I like the fact that Trump met with Kim. I like the fact that Trump met with anybody and everybody. I like the fact that a president's willing to sit down with any of these guys to keep them close and talk to them. I like diplomacy. I like sitting there so you know who I am, face to face. You see me kneecap to kneecap, to walk away saying, okay, at least this guy's a guy that I can sit down and have a conversation with. I don't mind any of that stuff taking place. Anyways, let's go to the next story. Before we get into the next story of Rogan and a little bit of insight on questions maybe with Bill Maher, because I don't know if you've seen the podcast or not at this point. I don't know if you've seen the comments. I think it's the most commented podcast he's done. 15,000 comments, 14,000 comments I was being told this morning. Let's first go to our sponsor. Go for it, Rob. So look, I've been in the financial industry since 9/11, the day before 9/11, and I've owned stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, crypto, gold, you name it, I've owned it. But the one thing that's very important part of my portfolio all these years is gold. I love having a percentage of my net worth in gold that I have access to in case of many different things. That's why we chose to work with our new sponsor, American Hartford Gold. If you have retirement funds that you cannot afford to lose, American Hartford Gold will ship physical gold or silver directly to your door. Also, if you have retirement funds that you can't afford to lose, now is the time to call American Hartford Gold, a precious metal dealer you can trust. They have the finest products, amazing customer service, and a buyback commitment.
They've earned a 5-star rating from thousands of reviews and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them I sent you, and they'll send you up to $5,000 worth of free silver on your first order. So click on the link in the description or call 866-939-6984. Again, 866-939-6984.
Okay, all right. So let's go to Rogan. Joe Rogan puts a video on his Instagram account talking about Spotify. And he says he is renewing his deal. Good for him. Stories come out. Joe Rogan gets new Spotify deal worth up to $250 million. Spotify has reached a new deal with star podcaster Joe Rogan that will allow his hit show to be distributed broadly. Rogan's fresh deal estimated to be worth $250 million over its multi-year term. According to people familiar with the matter, involves an upfront minimum guarantee plus a revenue sharing agreement based on ad sales. Under the new licensing agreement, Spotify will sell ads for and distribute the Joe Rogan Experience across several platforms, including a video format on YouTube, which is kind of interesting. And I like that, by the way, because you would want to grow the YouTube audience as well. I don't think the YouTube side was maximized for Rogan, and I'm glad they're doing it this way. So whether it was Rogan's camp negotiating that or Spotify's camp doing that, good for them. And the company said Friday, under his previous deal, the show was exclusive to Spotify. The new deal is emblematic of shifting economics in podcasting, which has matured in both audience reach and advertising spending since Rogan's last deal. Spotify is working to revise the terms of its deals with top talent so that shows are distributed on several platforms to maximize their audience and ad sales rather than requiring exclusivity. Tom.
Well, this is great for Joe Rogan. It's great for people that want to hear Joe Rogan in more places because it's not exclusive now, it's broad. And this is basically Spotify acting like a capitalist, Pat. Spotify's loss has been reduced to 70 million euros last year. The loss was 70 billion euros. You know, $70 million is not a lot of money. Not when you're almost $4 billion of revenue Spotify is. And a year ago, they lost $270 million. So Spotify has been trimming things that don't work and renegotiating and renewing in different ways things that do work. And there's a big ad. Rogan's got a lot of upside on this on the ad side. The ad sharing, he gets a lot of leverage up. So rather than just paying him straight, they say, hey, let's go broad. Let's not be exclusive, and we'll give you more of the ad sales side. So it's doing well. And Spotify had about a 17% growth year, which is significant, growing 17% after we're all back from COVID. They about a 17% revenue growth on subscription revenue. So Spotify is acting like a capitalist company, and this is them betting on one of their hits and one of their jewels to keep him at Spotify, broaden it out, make more ad dollars, and grow the company and reduce the loss. This is good.
Past 5 days, look at the stock, is up 15.4%.
The market loves what they're doing.
By the way, if you go last 5 days, up 15.73%. Can you go to their market cap right now? See what their market cap is. What do you see? Spotify, it should be right there, bottom right there, $48 billion.
48.2.
48.2 billion. So if they're up 15%, if you do divided by 85, what number do you come up with, Rob? I know you can do it in your head, please. So, okay, so 48. It was 4. So they made roughly $8 billion this week.
Holy crap.
They made roughly $6 to $8 billion this week, closer to $8 billion this week, okay? After announcing this.
That's amazing.
For $250 million.
Yeah, and because you know Joe very well, and it couldn't happen to a cooler, they call it the Joe Rogan Experience because it's an experience. He's not only a comedian, he's teaching you, you're learning this, you're finding out about history, and he's not afraid to talk to anybody. He'll have anybody on there. And then when they
Except for Trump.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. But and yeah, dude, I mean, we still got our bet going, right?
Our bet
is still happening. But what a necessary voice. And just like, you seeing it with Elon, that when you're that awesome and you're that popular and you're not scared of everything and you're letting people hear the truth, they got to come after you. And I love the fact that him and Spotify, the CEO, kind of were like, okay, and they just brushed over it. I'm shocked to see what
to me, this is the least shocking news ever. Because I remember 2020 when we were in Dallas starting PBD podcast, there was breaking news. It was right in the middle of COVID, maybe June of 2020, I want to say. And it was like breaking news. Joe Rogan's leaving YouTube, going to Spotify. $100 million deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're like, what the hell? This is what?
Yeah.
It was shocking.
Yep.
Turned out it was actually a $200 million deal.
Yeah.
So we didn't even have the numbers right because he kind of slow played that. But to me, this is the equivalent, like in sports, just locking down your star. Whether it's Mahomes signing with the Chiefs, whether it's Joe Burrow with the Bengals, whether it's Giannis with the Bucks, you're locking down your star. There's going to be some sort of hometown discount for loyalty because he could go elsewhere and get more money. But to me, Joe Rogan seems to be a creature of habit. He keeps his circle very tight. He's very loyal. Don't forget, Daniel Ek had his back during everything with COVID. So I think that this was inevitable and good for Joe.
I tell you what, again, sometimes I go into restaurants, and such a bad thing, and I say that I'd love to run a restaurant one day and just treat customers royally.
Yeah.
And use data and paying attention and a little bit of being nosy in when people are talking to see how can make their day a better day. Shout out to Will Guidara, Unreasonable Hospitality. Just because curious what it is. I'd love to one day run a sports team just to see what it's like. In a past life, I would have loved to have been an agent representing certain talent, certain people, right? Managing certain talent, being an agent, negotiating on their behalf. I knew of a deal that could have gone Joe $350 million. Okay? Yeah. Oh. And by the way, here's a part you got to realize, okay? Why Joe is very different and very unique. Spotify knows they have a great deal here. Spotify knows they underpaid. And, it's important for Spotify to know you're getting somebody that's still very young. How old is Joe, by the way?
56?
56 years old. He's 56 years old, and
if I'm right, that's crazy.
Can probably whoop the average 25-year-old's butt.
I'm just happy to hear that 56 is still considered pretty young.
Joe can beat the shit out of all of us in this room at the same time.
But the point with this is
gorilla.
But the point with this is the fact that even though he could have gotten that kind of money, he stays, shows a lot about his character. You don't want to be an athlete that plays for 4 different teams. Like for example, let's just use NBA. You don't want to be the guy that, let's just say you get drafted into Cleveland and then you go to Miami and then maybe you go back to Cleveland and then you go to LA. Not that anybody would ever do something like that. You don't want to be a player like that because you're constantly changing teams. Yeah. You want to be a guy that comes straight out of high school, goes and plays for one team for 20 years, and your name is Kobe Bryant. Yep. You want to be the guy that these guys gave him a great offer, Spotify, and he's like, listen, man, you had my back when they wanted to cancel me because of those videos and audios. Guess what? I'm going to have your back, and you don't forget. Those types of people who remember when you had their back to come back and do that for you, and it's not just about money, you got to salute. Respect to them. I think Spotify won, and I also think Rogan won because now the audience will be able to see it not only on Spotify, but also on YouTube. Don't know how they're going to structure that, but I think it's a great negotiation, great deal, and they weren't solving for money only. They were solving for growth, expansion, future, partnership, and I like that. I think the meeting was probably, and by the way, just so everybody knows, I have not spoken to Joe about this deal, not this much, 0. So it's not like I know anything about the deal. He hasn't called me about the deal. We haven't talked about the deal. Nothing. Nothing that is just about the fact that I know I had one offer for him. But the deal is done based on Spotify also wanting to ask. I foresee that in the negotiation being, hey, what do you want to do to make the deal better? What's important to you? And I think one of the things Joe probably wanted to do was to make sure the growth in YouTube continues because he's not far off from, growing that exponentially. He's already there as a number one guy, but I think he can even take it to a whole different level. Anyways, congratulations, Spotify. Congratulations to
Joe.
To Joe as well. Yes, Bill Maher. That was an interesting podcast. You guys have a chance to...
yes, I watched it twice.
So tell me about
it.
You watched it twice?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Not once, twice. So, you said, guess how much I spoke versus he spoke before we even saw the interview. And I was like, I don't know. You probably spoke more. You're the one being interviewed. He probably spoke 80% of the time at minimum. Fair number or no?
A guy tweeted saying, Bill spoke 80. I think the top comment was Bill spoke 87% of the time.
87%.
Yeah.
When he's doing the interview. So the interview has 15,000 comments, you said at this point?
Something like that, yeah.
Insane. I think the credit goes to you, PBD. What was that?
Keep going.
Okay. The credit goes to you for this was you the whole time. The Gavin Newsom thing was interesting. How he says, what do you say, Vinny?
Well,
I love
by the way,
Gavin
I did the Tom. I actually wrote. So
Yeah.
first of all,
So the poking when you're like, so because Democrats love data. They're data driven.
Yeah.
Data, statistics.
no,
They love it. They love it.
It showed me. First of all, that interview, you exposed him. Okay, without his writers, Pat, without his liberal audience, in what's the show, Real Time with Bill Maher.
Yeah.
That are told when to applaud and when to. This is a moment where you got to find out who he was as a individual by himself with nobody else helping him out. And here's my thing: anyone that could utter the phrase, "I love Gavin Newsom," with a straight face and be honest with themselves, loses all credibility when it comes to anything political. I don't want to hear any of that, okay?
And not be his wife.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he goes, because what you said, you're a results-driven guy.
Because he said Democrats are more detail-driven.
And you notice how when you were like, okay, give me the fact,
Yeah.
okay. There's zero answer for why you're going to vote. It's the anything but Trump attitude. And then regarding his abysmal way Newsom has run Cali to the ground, this is why he loves him too. Besides the slick hair, which he kind of got my style. Nothing that's happening in California really affects Bill Maher. Think about it. He's filthy rich, so he doesn't care, Tom, about the 60% in taxes or the record high gas prices because he can afford it.
It's a cover chart he can pay.
Yeah, think about this, Tom. He doesn't care about the high crime in Cali, Pat, because he lives in a safe area that probably has gates and security with guns. He doesn't care that he doesn't have any kids, so he doesn't care that the California education system is so bad that 2 out of 3 Californian students failed to meet the math standards, and more than half didn't meet the state's English standards.
Thank you.
He doesn't have kids. Nothing that affects the average person bothers him. So he's just like, yeah, that smug, arrogant attitude. And I think you nailed it because you stayed calm. And facts always win. And when somebody can't give you answers or back up their claim, you made him look ridiculous. And that's why 15,000 people are still commenting right now because you couldn't. By the way, amazing socks, PBD, just throwing that out there. But when you say, give me an answer why you love him, and he goes, okay, there's no answer. Why? You're voting for him because he's not Trump.
Maybe play this clip, Rob. Just play this clip on the exchange with on Newsom.
Do you like Newsom? How do you feel about Newsom?
Had him on my show Friday.
I saw that.
And I first of all, I love him. You just like a guy or you don't. I've known him for a long time. He's done my show for a long time. Do I love everything he does as the governor of California? No, I don't. I wouldn't say I'm undertaxed. I have issues with this state. He's a guy. One reason I want him to run for president, is because he's obviously a winner. This guy could fucking do it. It's insane that we have the guy, but we can't run him because we have to tiptoe around Biden and
define a winner.
I love it.
He would win the election.
So
he would win the election.
He's a talented debater, speaker, communicator, deflector,
and politician. And he's a smart guy. He's a smart, real guy with a pair of balls. Do I love everything? No, you never do with a politician. But first of all, I think if he ran for president, it'd be great because it would force him to move to the center. Now you're running not just in California. I mean, this is California. It's weirdo world.
Are you a
Weirdo world.
Are you a results-driven guy?
I love this.
No, I like to watch things fall apart.
I mean,
of course,
you wouldn't build a show that you build and win at the levels you won, for decades if you weren't results-driven, right? I mean, you're Bill Maher. What
do you mean? What's the point about results?
That's exactly where I'm going with you. So results-driven guy.
Right.
What areas has Newsom won in? You said he's a winner.
Winner of the election. He could win the election.
But based on what, though? Do you want results? Like, what has he done to California to say he's a winner?
Oh, God. I don't know. It's too...
He doesn't know.
The metaphor
he made
here.
it rain, okay, dude?
You can pause it right there, by the way. Now, do me a favor. Go to Twitter. Exactly what I just said. I actually wanted to know because there's no way in the world you've ran a state and you don't have victories, right? That are big victories. So I put on Twitter, serious request. Could someone list 3 things Newsom did to improve the state of California? I'm curious. And if you go to the bottom and you go through comment section, this thing, the
worst
got, I don't know how many comments, right? Look at that one right there. Improve the sales for U-Haul. That's Kagan's Looking Glass. Improve the rate it relies on government funding. Improve the amount of money the IRS receives before U-Haul. Keep going to the next one. Keep going to the next one. There's a bunch of different comments there. Obviously, that's one with DeSantis with fetus, which he was showing. Go up a little bit on DeSantis one. Yeah, the poop maps. Go a little bit higher, Rob. Yeah, where it says human feces reports are booming in California. Anyways, so the point here becomes it's purely data. It's purely data on what's going on, and nobody could list anything about what the guy's done data-wise. You can like somebody. For instance, imagine if Newsom was your cousin.
My cousin.
If he's your cousin. Imagine if Newsom was somebody you went to high school with. Maybe somebody you played football with. And maybe he was a guy that actually blocked for you. And you were a receiver, or he was a tight end, and he protected you, right? Maybe you have some kind of affinity to the guy, and there's some kind of loyalty because there's a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Fine. I get defending because you are friends. Mm-hmm. Cool. But at the end of the day, data is data.
100%.
Okay, there is nothing one can say on why the number one state that's lost the most customers ever is Newsom. You know how he says, and this is his famous line, he says, well, California is California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and California is the same as the equivalent of 21 states combined, and that's what California. Okay, great. You know what he sounds like? The Vanderbilts. He was the richest man in the world. Okay, his kids were the snobbiest, sloppiest. You want to call them a spoiled kids that wasted the money. Mm-hmm. So you can still be rich, but you lost a lot of your daddy's money. Mm-hmm. Newsom is that billionaire's son whose dad used to be worth $40 billion after he died. Now the son is worth $17 billion, but he says, I'm still one of the richest men in the world at 17. Yeah, but you lost your dad's $23 billion. You lost customers that left your state. There is no other way. There has to be a way to judge somebody's record, right? There has to be, like in sports, how do they judge a big man? I saw a debate between somebody on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith. How do you judge a great center? Based on what? But center, it comes to rings, right? How do you judge a great podcaster? Based on what?
Views
and what?
Eyeballs.
Subscribership, eyeballs, influence.
Yeah.
How do you judge a great singer?
Hits,
their
baby.
Hits, and what else do you judge?
Hits, albums
Listen,
sold.
you can say whatever you want about Taylor Swift. We can sit and bitch about the fact that she's gonna, endorse Biden, which she will. And guess what? It's gonna help. Yes. Why though? Because she's got hits. You can hate Taylor Swift all you want. She made $5 billion from her music last year because she's got data and stats and customers willing to go. I couldn't name you one of her songs. Not one of her songs could I name. But guess what she has? She has stats, right? No matter how much we say, even about people you don't like, if they have data, you have to be quiet. I'm not a LeBron fan. Guess what? You know what the data backs up? That he's the second greatest player of all time. You have to give him that credit. He is not my favorite guy to watch ever. Yeah. But he's the second greatest basketball player of all time. Yeah. Why? Based on what? Based on stats. There's nothing debating that. So when you say Newsom is a winner and you can't name stats, that's when I'm like, I don't know where this discussion is going to go.
I
flipped in and I started interviewing instead of being a guest on the show.
I love the Vanderbilt reference because you run a sales organization. You've licensed how many agents in your day? PBD?
50,000+.
50,000 freaking agents. But the top guys, the 1% of PHP, for example, you're talking about data. You're talking about results-driven approach. I'm sure you have a guy in the organization that's like, dude, remember, Pat, in 2019 when I was the number one guy and this is what I've done. But where are you at in 2024?
Yeah, of course.
Where are you at in 2024?
Yep.
The old, what have you done for me lately approach. The reason that LeBron, to use his name again, still has credibility, this guy's still putting up numbers.
There's no question about that.
He's still putting up numbers. He got nominated or vote counting 20th All-Star game ever. Broke the record, right?
Yep.
LeBron. whether you disagree with them or not, he's still putting up results. The Gavin Newsom thing, I think why the Vanderbilt metaphor is so appropriate. It's like he's still clinging to the talking points of how great California was / still is GDP-wise. But if you go through those comments, how many people were able to put together a 3-point cohesive statement of what Gavin Newsom has done? This is the age-old conversation we've had, personality over politics.
I'm happy you said that.
Ron DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom with facts and data in a debate. Yet Gavin Newsom still won that freaking debate.
100%.
Because politics is entertainment at this point.
Yep.
You have to win the crowd, as they say in Gladiator, and the crowd ain't looking.
But
into
isn't
the
that?
data.
But isn't that kind of not scary? It's kind of dumb if you ask me. Like somebody like a Bill Maher that's just like he'd 100% vote for Gavin with zero stats, horrible track record. But you know what, Adam? You know why? Because it's not Trump. That is at the end of the day, they would rather have somebody that's going to screw them over, but he's not this guy, and that's where the Trump derangement.
You ever seen the movie Original Sin?
Oh, damn!
With Angelina Jolie and Antonio Banderas.
Oh my God, a long time ago.
Okay, so what's the issue with that movie? What is the issue? What is the premise of that movie? Antonio cannot leave her because her spell has gotten him.
Mm-hmm.
He lost everything, right? She destroyed his life, but he is obsessed with her, right? Sometimes you can be obsessed with somebody that can destroy your life because they are attractive and they're smooth and they're good. Every man's fallen for this before. Every woman has fallen for this before. If you haven't fallen for it before, maybe because the market's not interested in it. But odds are you have fallen for this before.
Who was it that compared California to their ex-girlfriend? Was it Mike Mallet?
Mike Mallet.
He's like, it's like that ex-girlfriend that you just can't get over. She's horrible for
It's
you.
a great analogy.
She's ruining your life, but you just can't look away.
She got that good. She got that good.
The last word in Gavin Newsom
beaches
is
in the mountains.
The last word in Gavin Newsom is you got to remember, perception and position is the realm of the politician, and that's all he needs to do. He's got the perception, and that is exactly what Bill Maher was talking about. He's a winner. He's a perception of a winner. He's running for president, which is dangerous because you run on perception and position. He's not running for CEO, which is on results and stats. If he's running for CEO, Ron DeSantis would be leading by 40 points to be president right now. But it's perception and perception, which makes it very dangerous, which is why it's important to be an informed voter and to understand where you're putting your vote and what you're doing, because there's consequences, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. And Gavin Newsom has never won a competitive election in his life. You take a look at the elections that he's been in and the position that he's taken, becoming mayor of San Francisco, and how if you win the Democrat primary as the mayor of San Francisco, you could be the guy pooping on all the streets, and you're still going to win the election to be mayor. Let's face it. If you've got the little blue D by your name, he has not won a competitive election because of the way that the populace in California has chosen to vote. And now the stakes are high because he could be on a national stage.
Fantastic.
And it's dangerous.
Very insightful what you said. Perception and position. Mm-hmm. Perception and position.
Beautiful.
Fantastic insight on that. Anyways, okay.
And they say perception is reality. So
let's go to the next
or it can be
story.
your nightmare tomorrow.
Let's go to the next story. Rob, let's go to the border story.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the border story on what's going on over there. Here we go. So a border deal to cut illegal immigration is released after months of talks. Okay, so border deal is what they call it. So if something is called the border deal, what would you expect the percentage of the money to be used to protect the border, right?
100%.
Right, because if you say it's a border deal, well, then let's actually make it a border deal, right? So Senate leaders have released a bipartisan bill aimed at reducing illegal border crossing while providing $118 billion in funds to Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and U.S. borders changes. The bill establishes a new asylum process, sets higher standards for asylum claims, and limits the number of immigrants claiming asylum to prevent system overload. I've seen enough. This bill is even worse than we expected and won't come close to ending the border catastrophe, said Speaker Mike Johnson. President Biden supports the bill, calling the immigration provision the toughest and fairest set of border reforms in decades. The legislation aims to end catch and release with a new process for rapid migrant processing and heightened screening. It allows for immediate deportations for those who don't qualify for asylum, alongside temporary shutdown powers if daily crossing exceed certain thresholds. Here's what I want you to be thinking about. How much money did we just say? $118 billion. $118 billion, okay? Out of the $118 billion, I want to ask the audience, okay? Out of the $118 billion, how much of it do you think is being used for the border? How much of it do you think is being used for Ukraine? Okay, I want you to think about it. I hope that's not being shown yet. What portion of that money you think is being used? Do you know the number, Adam?
I don't know.
So what portion of the 118 do you think is being used for the border? What percentage do you think is being used for Ukraine?
So it's 118 between Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the U.S. border. You want to know the percentage that is going to Ukraine?
Maybe give the dollar amount. You got $118 billion. How much of it is going to the border? Because it's called the border bill.
Our border.
I would say $10 billion to the border, and I would say probably $75 billion to Ukraine.
You're close. The number is $20 billion goes to the border.
Okay.
$60 billion goes to Ukraine.
Makes sense.
$14.1 billion for Israeli security assistance, and about $20 billion to the new border policy. It includes $2.4 billion for operations in Red Sea, where Houthis rebel in Yemen have launched attacks on shipping. Vinny, when you see something like this, what are you thinking about with this bill here?
Dude, you want to talk about baffled? The fact that, first of all, it's called the Senate's $118 billion emergency national security bill. It's supposed to be for our national security. So, by the way, half the money's going to Ukraine, 20 for us. I hope everybody's paying attention. $14 billion is going to the security of assistance to Israel. And just to make it fair, $10 billion in humanitarian assistance for the civilians caught in the conflict zones of Gaza. They have to give some money for the innocent people that are getting murdered. So it would also, ready for this, require Homeland Security to nearly shut down the border. Not definitely, but nearly. So, and you mentioned it, Pat. It happens if the illegal migrant crossings increase more than 5,000 a day in any given week, or if the average daily encounters reach 4,000 people a day in a span of a week. So 1.8 million illegals would be coming in every year. I'm going to say that again. Almost 2 million, 1.8 million illegals are going to be coming into the country. What is it now? 4 million? Something like that. It's going to be that. So, and by the way, let's just be honest, guys, and we throw around these numbers. Think about this. 60 billion, really let that sink in, is going to Ukraine. By half the money gone. That's why I'm happy that the Republicans are fighting it. And P.S., I'm tired of everybody going like this, Patrick, because you hear this a lot. Well, Joe Biden can't. He said, give me the power. Joe Biden and his administration with Mayorkas created this catastrophe, and it is a catastrophe. And just FYI for everybody out there, under existing laws that we have right now, including the Immigration Nationality Act of 1952, the President of the United States can turn every single illegal alien away from the border if he thinks it's necessary to safeguard our national security. Every single one of them, okay? And all he has to do is enforce the law. But if Biden did this, the Democrats would lose all the votes, because let's not be stupid. I know you guys aren't dumb. You know this is all votes for generations to come. And you wouldn't be able to launder all this money to Ukraine. That's the number one thing. And think about this. Biden refused. I want you guys to pay attention. Biden refused to use his executive order to reverse the disaster that he used his executive authority to create. And use Supreme Court to fight Texas. Yeah, exactly. Think about that. Like, the president of the United States and the government are suing a state because they're stopping the influx of all these votes. And it's absolutely nuts, and it should piss off the people.
Tom,
I hope everybody's waking up.
Tom, what are your thoughts on this? I'm going to show you guys a couple videos right now here in a minute.
It's going to piss people off.
And FYI, before I go to Tom, can you do me a favor, Rob? Do you have the WAPO story you were showing and the WSJ story? I want to show something the difference here. Okay, go to the top of the story so the audience can see the WSJ logo. Okay, so this is WSJ, right? And this story is about what? The border deal cut illegal immigration quickly, runs into trouble, right? Now go to the WAPO story, and it says what? Senate negotiators release sweeping border and military aid bill. Okay, so now let's do a quick comparison between these two. On WSJ, okay, go to WSJ. If they're saying they're spending the money, how quickly do you want to know how much money it is And how quickly do you logical people want to know what percentage of the money is being used for the border? How quickly do you want to know that? In the first paragraph, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or last?
Right in the beginning.
Okay, let's see when WSJ shows it. Go up a little bit. Here we go. First paragraph, no, just a little bit about the bill. Second paragraph, no, but the third one, pretty much at the top, it tells you 118 billion, 60 billion to Ukraine, 14.1 to Israel, 20 billion to the border, right? And how many paragraphs are there? That's 1, 2, 3, keep going, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, keep going, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, keep going, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So out of the 28 paragraphs,
oh my God,
which paragraph is the numbers in?
Number 3.
Go to WAPO. So you're going to WAPO. Let's do the same exact game.
Who owns WAPO?
Let's see who else. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, weird.
Let's see when we're going to know what percentage. Look at what it says. The $118 billion national security package is a top priority. Okay. Okay, let's go a little lower. See how many paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, keep going, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, keep going, 20, 21, 21 out of how many? Go to last 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. out of 30 paragraphs, 21.
And I never saw the number 60 for the amount.
See when they say Ukraine, by the way.
I don't
find exactly when they say Ukraine. Because what I saw, I thought it was the last paragraph. I want you to find, no, Rob, you don't need to be up there. They don't show it. Oh. Just type in 60. Control F60. Just type in 60. Don't even put the dollar sign. What paragraph is that? $60 billion to Ukraine. Go all the way to the bottom.
4 or 5, 6.
Yeah, look at that one that's coming up. Like paragraph 18.
Yeah.
Why? Hide the number on when it's going to Ukraine. WSJ is saying, here's where the numbers are. Logical people want to know numbers immediately. Emotional people just want to know that we're fixing the border. No, we're not fixing the border. They should spend that $60 billion protecting the border with all the stuff that's going on. Where a video like this on 60 Minutes, where the lady was shell-shocked, kudos to 60 Minutes for actually showing this.
I'm shocked they let it happen.
Play this clip here, Rob.
They just start
We
coming
wonder
around
how
the corner.
all of these migrants knew about this particular entryway into California. The answer was in their hands.
How do you know about that? Oh, Douyin. Okay, TikTok.
Oh, you learned on TikTok.
These Chinese people?
Yep.
TikTok is a social media platform created in China. The post we found had step-by-step instructions for hiring smugglers and detailed directions to that hole we visited.
Wow. And look,
we were struck
they're coming
by
in.
just
They're not
how
getting turned
orderly
away.
and routine it
Come
all
on
seemed.
in, everybody.
The migrants walked about a half mile down a dirt road and waited in line for U.S. Border Patrol to arrive
By the
so
way,
they could surrender.
You know how much it costs many of these guys to come here? $14,000
each person.
Some of these guys. One of the guys being interviewed, he says, "Yeah, I went to Spain, and then I went to Nicaragua, and then Costa Rica, and then Colombia, and then I went over here. $14,000 to finally come here, and they learn how to do it on TikTok." So, Tom, your thoughts on this?
So whenever you see a bill and you see the name of the bill in election year, it's almost like getting juice for your kids. If it says orange juice and you turn around the back of the bottle and says contains less than 2% fruit juice. Ever seen that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, folks, you should be turning the bottle around on everything you see on something like this. And, you know, the titles they get put on it, you can't defend, you know, the news reporting here on the biases on how far it goes back and forth, because they're not helping you. You got to look into it, and you got to read multiple stories and figure out what's going on. And what this is election year pork, because there's still a group of people in Congress that want to keep funding Ukraine. There's a wing of the National Security Agency and a prominent mainstream presidential candidate, Nikki Haley, I'm looking at you, who wants more for Ukraine, wants more for the defense industry, and a deal cut. This is a deal. That's why you call it a border deal bill. What made the deal? Everybody made a deal. Everybody cut a deal. And there's a little for this, little for that, little for this. You know, you just have to read the back of the bottle. And the back of the bottle here is that American people just are putting billions and billions and billions more on top of our deficits, on top of our debt, to do all the things that's here. Some of them have noble purposes. but it's pork, man. This is just a big barrel of pork being spread around for everybody's interest, putting a spin headline on it and selling it. Think about, and I'll give you another example that's really quick. The Affordable Care Act. Remember that? Obamacare. Affordable Care Act. Now we know it was to get critical insurance for 30 million Americans. Remember that number? Simple. Affordable Care Act. We need to do it for 30 million Americans. What we saw later is it was a 3-year moratorium on price increases, and then it was unlimited price increases. Adam, you're an independent professional. You probably know people that were independent professionals that went and got health care. It allowed them to raise health care prices 20% a year for the next 5 years. Remember that? That the health insurance ended up being more expensive 5 years after Affordable Care Act than it was before. Read the back of the bottle. Contains less than 2% real fruit juice.
Adam, thoughts on this?
So, you know how, the biggest criticism that Republicans get is if they're rhinos, right? Oh, he's a rhino. He's a rhino. What does that mean? What does that mean? He's a Republican in name only. That's the equivalent of what this border bill is. It's a border bill in name only. This is a foreign aid package grouped in with a border bill. And it's, to Tom's credit, turn the back of the fruit juice around and see what the ingredients are. The biggest thing I think I just want to add is this. The key players here is Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. Did you see what he said on Meet the Press over the weekend? He sort of distanced himself from Trump because Trump is playing politics with this. Trump does not want this deal because he wants to run on this. I will clean this up. I will fix the border. Don't sign this bill. It'd be good for his politics. Kristen Welker came out and flat asked Mike Johnson, are you basically following Trump's lead on this? He said, no, I'm the guy. I'm the guy running the House. I'm the guy saying that this is what this is.
That's so funny.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Is it worth watching or not really? Because I only got 17 likes.
So I don't know about this video, but I'm telling you, he basically said that he's the guy running the show.
But what's the point about Trump? But not to stop you, Adam, but Trump running on whatever, nobody should be cool with this bill. I don't give a shit if you're a rhino, left, right, tall, short. Nobody should co-sign on a bill that's giving half of it to Ukraine. Trump doesn't need to run on anything. Who in their right mind? If you're right,
you want to know who in their right mind? You want to know?
Mitch McConnell?
How about every single senator that signed off on this?
Yeah, and guess what? They're all corrupt. They're all corrupt, and they're all full of shit.
Republicans and Democrats.
Because guess what? The average American that's out there, the people out there that are busting their asses, barely paying their rent and all that shit, and paying all this crazy tax to fund Ukraine, to hell with that shit. The Americans, by the way, and no wonder why the majority of Americans aren't pissed off. They can't even find the damn story. They just see 118 million buried in it. But I want to know the answer, Adam. What is it? Why does Trump need this to run on anything? Anybody should be against this. He should be against this. She should be against it. I
think what he's saying is he doesn't want it to be fixed, so it can help him get reelected. Because if Biden fixes it, there's not another problem to fix. I think that's what you're trying to say.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what he's saying. So he's saying, if God forbid they fix it. So this is the liberal argument. The liberal argument is what he just said right there, which is great because we want to know all the arguments. The argument I've heard, and I even had this conversation with Chris, is look, they have something here. Why don't they want to sign it? Because they know Trump's going to know that this is not going to help him if this gets through. But the reality to the people of that camp, let's play that card. Hey, Dems, do you really want to take that away from Trump? Do it. I dare you. You know how? Use $118 billion, use all of it on the border, build a damn wall twice as big, put a military in front of it, call the military, protect it, shut it down, don't take anybody asylum coming in here for a year, and then guess what? You took it away from Trump, but you will not do it. Because you're going to use that money to give it to who? You're going to use that money to give it to Ukraine. You know that. You know you're going to be doing that. You know Ukraine is losing the war in a major way. By the way, you know what Ukraine just did? Did you guys hear about what Ukraine built? About a year and a half, I think it just got done. Do you know what Ukraine just built? They built a brand spanking new funeral that fits 1.5 million people. Why? Why are you doing that, Ukraine?
A cemetery?
Why are you building a cemetery that fits 1.5 million people? Any reason why you're doing that?
Really?
Yeah. Why? And that's at the beginning of the war, pretty much. If you can validate this, Rob.
New cemetery
for how many people?
1.5 million.
New cemetery for 1.5 are being built in Ukraine. That's August 20th of 2023. That ain't for COVID. So you can't be like, well, they're doing it for COVID. No, what are you doing it for? Because they're losing the war and no one's talking about it.
Wow.
They're getting their asses handed to them by this guy in Russia that they keep selling that they're getting crushed while they're building missiles in ways that all the other military-industrial complex cannot keep up with. Russia's getting their stuff, and they're ready. And they're ready for all this stuff that's going on. And NATO's keep saying, hey, U.S., keep pumping the money, man. You guys are awesome. We won't do it. But U.S., you guys keep wasting that money. Let's make U.S. weaker. Hey, U.S., more money. Can you guys do it? You guys are so noble. You are so noble. Can we get Zelensky at the house again to look sad? And you guys in the back go like this. You look so noble. In your legacy, they're going to play this when they go to their museum one day, and they're going to see you were clapping like this right behind Zelensky. You guys are such awesome, noble human beings. Yeah, 1.5 million people. Why? Yeah, you want 1.5 million people? What, in a country that's how big? For what? No. So for me, where I'm going with this is slightly different. If liberals truly want to hurt Trump from winning, do it. Go ahead and do it. I dare you. I dare you to take 100% of $118 billion, put it on the border, shut down the border for 1.5 years, no new people coming in, including asylum, protect it from everybody. Yes, you will increase your chance of winning by 5%, and that's all you need. But I guarantee you will not do it. So don't worry to the people that are on the other side. They're not going to do it. So to the liberals that are saying, well, look, they don't even want to pass this bill because it's not a border bill. It's a Ukraine bill. That's why. Take the $60 billion out and see how much it would change. Go on and take it out, but you won't do it. You know who else won't do it? McConnell won't also do it. Of course. Why won't he do it? Because this is about the establishment not wanting to mess with something like this. They're not going to want to do that. Yep. This isn't something they're interested in doing. So you're right in the fact that Trump's camp is concerned about that. But if the liberals truly want to hurt his chances, if right now, imagine the spokesperson on the left comes out and says the following. We have made a decision. We are not sending the bill, $60 billion, to Ukraine. The border in the U.S. is such a priority because America first. This is the greatest country in the world, and we have to protect our people. And we can no longer tolerate people beating up cops. We can no longer tolerate things like this. We have to protect our citizens who are born here. That's what we have to do. Yes, Trump will have a hard time beating the left if they do that. This is how big of a chance that they'll do it. You see it? How big that is? Zero. And you won't do it.
And that's why they won't do a standalone bill on anything. Right now, Mike Johnson is proposing a standalone bill on Israel. That's I think the Democrats and the Republicans both agree on that, but they are far from agreement on the border in Ukraine. And that's what both sides are basically trying to hitch their wagon to basically say, at the end of the day, they got to come to some sort of compromise. The Democrats want to fund Ukraine. Republicans want to fund the border. And they got to figure something out.
But doesn't that blow that blows my mind that's the argument. And then you have Mitch McConnell going on the news going with this little AKA penguin looking. He said, guys, if we don't give Ukraine $60 million, $60 billion, you know what he said? He goes, American soldiers will die because this war is going to expand into Europe and we're going to lose soldiers. So wait a minute. You're saying basically, give me this money or else Americans are going to die. They're shameless.
What a shame.
But you nailed it. If we have that $118 million.
Do it, Democrats.
Yeah.
I endorse this message if you do it. Do it. You will not do it.
Not happen.
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead, because you care about America first, don't you? The Democrats care about America first, right? Not Ukraine. Ukraine is second. America's first. No? Yeah. If that's the case, go ahead and play ball. Do it. Mm-hmm. Yes, you will hurt them, but you're not going to do it. That's why the bill is not being passed, because you're playing politics. And you're using more than 50% of $118 billion for Ukraine. Come on, get out.
But they're going to call it the border bill.
And by the way, for the people that are like, well, Patrick, aren't you an immigrant? Legally, we applied for green card in 84. 84. My mom was worried if I'm going to serve the military in Iran. We lived there till July 15th of 89. Then went to Germany at a camp. We waited 1.5 years. Then finally we got our green card. November 28, 1990, came here legally.
Weird word.
Legally, as a proud American, born in Iran, made in America, legally is the key word. The biggest difference about immigration is not that we don't want immigrants coming here, but we want them legally. That's what matters.
And by the way, that is why Trump is losing support from who? The Latino community. And there's a tons of stats we can go over. I don't know if you want to go into this now, but the base of the Latinos, what percentage in 2020 do you think voted Biden versus Trump? It's a double-digit lead, okay? Right now, dead even amongst Latinos. Because Latinos understand, especially that have been here legally, are like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
That I came here legally.
Trump's losing support with Latinos?
No. He has now, it's dead even.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was double-digit increase for Biden in 2020.
Totally.
Weird.
And then
yeah, because they sold the whole, he thinks all Mexicans are rapists, BS crap.
Let's go into a little bit about the economy right now. Okay, let's go to which one? Okay, here we go. Luxury home values to decline across the globe this year. Reports say, so this is bad news for certain markets, folks. If you're in, here we go. Premium real estate markets worldwide are expected to face challenge in 2024 with slow residential capital value growth compared to 2023, particularly major cities. Seville's predicts that at least a dozen of the 30 global cities it monitors will experience a significant slowdown, with high-end home values dropping 0.6%, the low rate since 2019, down from 2.2% in 2023. Affected cities include Hong Kong, New York, San Francisco. Factors contributing to the slowdown include high interest rates, a shortage of available properties, political and property markets, instability in China, upheaval in the tech industry, and cautious office return by workers. Despite these challenges, positive capital value growth is still anticipated in 2023, with cities like Amsterdam, Tokyo, Sydney, Dubai driving the global average. At the same time, Powell came out, and I think he was also on 60 Minutes. Tom, you watched the entire interview on 60 Minutes. Why is market not happy after what Powell said on 60 Minutes about not lowering the interest rate as much as people want him to?
Yeah, we'll talk about Powell, and then we have a curious data point happening in the U.S. on housing. So what Powell basically said, and if you, I think I'm going to do a BizDoc breakdown of the Powell interview because he went through steps, and I think I'll do that maybe within the week so people can understand exactly what he was saying. What Powell was talking about is he said, hey, look, there's a couple things going on. We're only going to lower interest rates probably 3 times. Here's why. Because inflation is still sitting in kind of a stubborn place, and we're a little worried about it. We don't want it to pop back up. That would be bad. And we've done a good job so far getting it to 3% so that we're within striking distance of 2%. But we need to keep the pressure on because we think it's worked, and we think that the economy hasn't fallen into recession because of, he called it the resilience of the American consumer. I call it the drunken spending of the American consumer. Kind of kept the, $1 trillion now credit card debt, all the buy now, pay later, including delinquencies. But all of that kept the economy humming. And so now he's saying, look, interest rates are going to stay higher longer. And then he cautioned on something. He was right on pricing. He said certain commodities like gasoline have come down, but there's certain permanent price increases that we don't see coming down. He mentioned clothing and certain food products. He said, hey, inflation has brought them up. They're not coming back down. So the market was disappointed that the interest rates aren't going to come back down so companies can get access to cheap money, and that the housing market would get triggered into a higher speed because interest rates for mortgages would come down. So when he's talking on 60 Minutes, he's like, higher rates for longer, three breaks this year. Maybe we'll get down to 6% at the end of the year. And the market goes, no, I wanted my ice cream. I wanted 6 drops. I wanted cheaper money for corporate expansion. And I wanted cheaper money for mortgages to get the housing market going. That's basically.
So let me ask you this question. So sometimes as a Fed chair, right, he's not pleasing the left nor the right, because Trump comes out and says he would replace political Jay Powell as Fed chair. He wanted to replace Jay Powell as a Fed chair, accusing him of being political, as predicting that he would cut interest rates to help the Democrats this year. Trump was fiercely critical of Powell while he was president from 2017 to 2021. And his latest comments point to serious friction between the Fed and the White House that could erupt next year. If he defeats Joe Biden in November, I think he's going to do something to probably help the Democrats. It looks to me like he's trying to lower rates for the sake of maybe getting people elected. I don't know. When asked if he would offer another 4-year term to Powell in 2026, Trump, who is the frontrunner of the Republican nomination, answered, I wouldn't do that. Although Trump nominated Powell to Fitcher in 2018, he eventually turned against the U.S. Central Bank, accusing it of keeping interest rates too high at the time of the trade wars with China and Europe and a brazen challenge to U.S. central banks' independence. When you hear that, okay, do you think Powell is playing politics, or do you think Powell is actually doing a good job?
When you look at the last statement that Powell made, I think he's doing a good job. You look at the last statement that Jay Powell made in the 60 Minutes interview. He said, we've done this with integrity and we're not going to give it up now. It was something like that. It was the very last thing he said about integrity, and it was a statement he made at the end. I'm summarizing it there. I'm not quoting him, but I'm hoping we can find that. And I think he's correct. Chairman of the Fed is not a political position, but it can be politically inconvenient when they do things for the economy because the other side can claim victory, or it can be painful. And that, I think, is exactly what Trump is talking about. Trump's referring to it as political, but I really don't think it's that political, because I would, if he was kowtowing to Treasury and Janet Yellen and just dropping rates 6-7 times, then I would say, what the hell is he doing? Why is he dropping it as fast as he raised it? We don't need to go back to rates that are that
Rob, is
low.
this the one, Rob? Yeah. Can you play it, please?
There are people watching this interview who are skeptical about that.
I would just say this. Integrity is priceless. And at the end, that's all you have. And we plan on keeping ours.
Do you believe him?
I do believe him. Yeah. And I think 3 cuts this year, which keeps dollar value higher. Remember, this makes the dollar stronger on a trade basis. I think that this is the right call. And by the way, interestingly enough, did you see, I don't think I saw anything from Jamie Dimon running to a microphone saying, oh my gosh, I'm bleeding. This is terrible. We need more rate cuts. I didn't see that. I think Jamie Dimon is the rational player.
Look, I think Jerome Powell has done a great job. I would give him a very high grade. People don't understand. America has had the best recovery since COVID out of any major country in the world, period. Name another country that has done better since COVID than the United States. And I don't understand why Biden is not taking credit for this, because largely a lot of part of it is Jerome Powell. Inflation, it was double digits 3 years ago, currently 3.4%. Unemployment skyrocketed during COVID, obviously 3.7%. Those are the two things that Jerome Powell is tasked to do. So he is probably the most not name recognizable, impactful person in the country. And I've said his name multiple times on the podcast. We all have. He's that dude. And he never gets entangled in the political incorrectness. Trump nominated him. Now Trump is calling for his head. The guy's doing a good job. This is kind of what makes me not understand why Trump.
By the way, but what I tell you, I actually like this, that no one likes him. The less the left and the right like a Federal Reserve chair guy, the better for the economy, okay? The better neither side likes him. The left, guess what the left wants him to do? Decrease the rates more. Mm-hmm. Guess what the right wants him to do? Keep the rates higher more. Guess what he's doing? Not what either party wants.
Exactly.
And you know what? Good for you. He's actually playing the independent role. Now, if he lowers the rates 5 times, Trump is right. If he lowers the rates only 2 times, the left is right. If he does it 3 times, he's staying independent.
But he's given, I agree with you, Pat. He's given no indication that he's playing politics. He's given no indication that he's picking sides. He's completely independent. And you have to give him a good grade. I would give him an A.
I don't know if I give him an A. I do give him a B+. And the only reason I give him a B+, Adam, is because I don't think we're... Look, I mean, just for example... Do you want the Dow to go to 45,000? Lower the rate 6 times this year. Do you want it to go to 50,000? Lower the rate 7 times this year. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
If he lowers the rate 7 times this year, you know where Dow goes to? It touches 45, 50,000. This year.
Yeah.
S&P will go past all these record-breaking numbers. But that doesn't mean it's good for the economy. He can do that to finish his record as the record break. And then the next guy's going to come. Guess what he has to do? He has to increase rates, and then the Dow's going to drop again. So the only thing is, I say keep the temperature at this. As long as we keep rates at 6%, where people have to and by the way, again, that hurts me because I'm in a high-value thing. But if it keeps the rates higher, I think we need to keep, and my worry,
what's your worry, Pat?
If Trump gets elected, he's going to replace him with somebody else, and they're going to lower the rates extremely low. As a guy in the real estate business, speculation. And if he does that, the economy is going to skyrocket. But then again, we'll have the same thing happening of a lot of fake success, problematic. We need to keep it at around the 6% rate. That's a concern of mine. This is not a political position.
It's a valid concern, and I'll tell you,
position I got.
The person that's in the cabinet is the Secretary of Treasury, Yellen, and she is at odds with Powell right now, and they are trying to push him for more rate cuts. I'm going to do a case study on it in about a week, and I'm going to break it down so everybody can see the difference between the political player, Yellen, and Powell, which is exactly as you say, Pat, trying to stay in the middle.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll see what's going to happen with that part. Let's go to New York. So New York City, handout. Ready? So after the guys flip off, beat up the cops, what do these guys do instead? New York decides to hand out $53 million in prepaid credit cards to migrant families. Can you imagine that? Like, imagine your kids do something and you want to discipline them. What did you do? You did that? You stole money from such and such? Shame on you. Here's $1,000. What are you talking about? You're doing this. This is not the way. This is exactly that's prompting more of that same behavior of the spoiled child that keeps getting arrested and that keeps bailing them out. So let's go through this, folks. New York City is launching a $53 million pilot program providing prepaid credit cards to only 500 migrant families and hotels, replacing the current food service, aiming to save the city more. Oh my! They're making 500 families millionaires. City more than $7.2 million annually, says spokesperson for Mayor Adams. The prepaid cards can only be used at specific food-related businesses, and migrants must sign an affidavit agreeing to spend the funds solely on food and baby supplies. They must sign an affidavit. So, okay, got it. Yeah,
promise?
For sure.
I promise.
Yeah.
I'll be in court.
So a person that can't be sued with no legal standing in the United States
has to promise you're going to do the right thing.
And sign a
I've already broken the law 7 times.
Okay,
Oh, I'm not going to do it an 8th time. No way, not me.
No speaking
the amount
English.
allocated.
No speaking.
The amount allocated depends on family size and income, with a family of 4 potentially receiving nearly $1,000 a month for food. If successful, the program could expand to all 15,000 migrant families and hotels. Since 2022, over 150,000 migrants have arrived in New York City, leading to humanitarian crisis and significant costs for the city, with Mayor Adams traveling to Latin America to discourage further migration.
Read the last sentence again.
Yeah,
Where's
exactly.
the mayor?
Yeah, in Latin America to discourage immigration. 50 Cent blasts him, with the plan of giving prepaid credit cards. Maybe Trump is the answer, says 50 Cent. After the $53 million, says, WTF, Mayor Adams, call my phone. I don't understand how this works. Somebody explain. The rapper wrote after sharing a screen grab of the post coverage. Can't explain this. I'm stuck. Maybe Trump is the answer. Again, he's talking about the whole $53 million. Can you play the Eric? I'll find a clip and I'll send it to you. It's Eric Adams talking about 50 cents. But go ahead, Vinny.
Dude, what, dude? I was born in Yonkers, New York. What the hell is happening to New York? It's Gotham City. Like, what a spit in the face to the homeless people in New York. And I don't mean the ones that are just young and like on drugs and they're just begging for money. What about the ones that are just out there? They can't afford it. They're dying in the streets. The veterans and everybody. This place has become a joke. It's absolutely laughable. And I feel like we're living in like that movie Idiocracy. It's absolutely nuts that this is going on. It's like, bro, why be an American citizen? Being illegal is the way to be. And like, this is the clip right here, right? Pat, this is it.
Yeah, go ahead and play this clip.
And so I know that on the first brush, you look at it and say, oh, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're giving people cars? But once you dig into the numbers and in the line, you'll see that this was a smart policy shift that we're doing on a pilot project with 500 people. If this is successful, we're going to expand it even more so that we can we got to bring down the cost. 20% we want to bring down the cost, and their team are doing their job. So I told 50 Cent to hit me up. I would love to explain it to him so that he can go out and do another tweet of saying, you know what, Eric is just a smart manager, and now we understand why he was elected by the people of the city of New York to be the mayor. He may even write a song about me.
Okay.
And I also want to say joy.
Just to give you guys a heads up, it's my cousin hit me up about the pandemonium that's happening in New York. Just real quick, this money that he wants to give to these people, these illegals, you know what, besides beating the hell out of New York City's finest and flipping off America, I talked about that last week. Look at what they're robbing this lady to grab her phone. There's a gang of like 60 of them. Okay, it's like a moped gang. They're going around New York, grabbing this lady, and they're well, by the way, this is one of the migrant facilities inside New York. Can you play this one? Look at this shit show. They're trying to arrest somebody. Look, don't touch me, don't touch me. No me toque, don't touch me. Look at this, Pat, trying to arrest him. Look. Look at this. Look at that's New York, bro. That looks like a third world country.
It is.
It's insane. Look, they grab someone, they arrest him. He's on the ground. I'm shocked they did that. I'm shocked they didn't beat the shit out of the cops. And then she's handcuffed too. All right, Rob, stop this. And can you show the moped? So apparently there's a moped gang now of illegals led by one guy that are going around and robbing people on mopeds like they do like I saw a couple of these videos like in Mexico and in Venezuela. Look at this, Rob. I sent it to you on Slack. Yeah, this is the video. So, Pat, this lady's walking with her phone, and then look, they grab her, and then look, they drag her. Wow! What? That's in New York. That's in New York. They're grabbing people's cell phones, and look, this poor lady, wow, she probably broke her legs. It's absolutely, it's Gotham City. And my question, and I've asked this last week, Pat, where are the New Yorkers? And I hate when people are like, well, what are we supposed to do? Get in the streets. Protest. Do something. Nothing is changing. You're going to be overrun soon. There's how many hundreds of thousands there? They're robbing you. They're shitting in front of your house.
At this point,
oh my
it's
God.
not where are New Yorkers? It's where's Batman? I mean, this is like what they're doing to Gotham City is heartbreaking.
And where is Mayor Adams? Mayor Adams is in Latin America to discourage further migration. I have $53 million in cards. You can walk right across, and Southwest will give you a free ticket. Don't do it.
Yeah,
what is he saying?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, here's 50 Cent responding. He says, I talked to Eric Adams. He broke down why the pilot program was put in place. He appeared to be on point, on top of things. Now I want to talk to the Governor Hochul about the laws preventing him from doing things to make the situation better in New York, and where the proposed $2.4 billion she's planning on spending on migrants is coming from, not my taxes. So, again, it seems like Hochul and Adams are going at it, but I don't think neither one of them are doing a good job for the city of New York right now.
It turns out that nobody is listening to
quick.
Kamala. Remember when Kamala was like, don't come.
Yeah.
Don't come.
Right.
Yeah,
and then Trump was like, I'm going to come.
Yeah.
So nobody is listening to this.
But here's a final point for the economics of the United States, folks. A state can't run a deficit at the end of the year. They have to figure out bonds, or they get relief from the federal government. So when New York does this, and New York is then going to blame the federal government, they will blame the federal government for all of the immigrants that came to Texas. Then they'll blame the Texas governor for putting them on buses to New York. And then the federal government will get money sent to New York, which will gap what they're spending. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, you and me and our tax dollars are paying for what Eric Adams is doing, because there will be no deficit in New York because Albany will cover, and then the United States federal government will cover Albany. That's the way it works. This is coming back to you and me. This is not a New York problem. This is increasing the deficit of the United States of America and the taxpayers, you and me.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so anybody want to move to New York, Vinny? I mean, they're
you mean go back? No, I'm good.
You're
I'll
already
stay in Florida.
Hey, you're already funding it, man. Where's your vote? Where's your vote?
Okay, next story. Let's go to Joy Reid, hot mic. You know, she was on The View as a Christian woman, giving her position on why, it's not her fault, the fact that she had a hot mic. It's really Governor Abbott's fault, and very noble of her to identify who the real person of is at fault for her saying what she said about war. By the way, for some of the people that haven't seen it, Rob, can you pull up what she actually says and just pull up the last 5 seconds, because I don't think this shows it, so we can see on the hot mic. If you haven't seen it, if you watch the podcast, you've obviously seen it, but if you don't watch the podcast, this is what happens first. So she's doing this, and she cuts to a story, and watch what she says real quietly.
Biden said he's ready to take action if Congress is serious about solving the border issue.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly. And Congress needs to get it done.
Starting another fucking war.
She's a Christian.
And then she comes back, okay? Yeah. So now, she's obviously caught, and she's on The View. They're going to help her out. Go ahead.
But last week you had a hot mic moment that got some attention. Let's just say you used some colorful language. Who doesn't?
Not me. I'm a Christian.
But it seems like you were criticizing President Biden for starting another war. I don't think you're alone in concerns of that, but is that true? Like, what was behind this?
Well, I'm going to hit that with a cute no comment. No, but what I'm going to say is I am a person that I'm a study war no more kind of Christian. I'm a red letter Christian. I don't believe in war, whether it is the governor of Texas literally trying to start another civil war over an issue that his party could solve tomorrow. There's literally a bill that they just could pass.
A bill for Ukraine, you're right, to protect the southern border.
Issue. Or whether it's in the Middle East. I was deeply against the Iraq War.
Right.
I was against, I'm an anti-war person.
Big time. Like Trump.
And so, I don't want to say that there's any side that is specifically to blame here, but I think I think for most Americans, we're war weary. I think we're all weary of conflict.
That's why we keep giving money to Ukraine to continue the war. You're right. We are war weary. You can pause it already right there.
She's starting to sound like Trump. Like the hair is really, I think, like she's playing the part.
Yeah,
she's definitely.
How about?
I don't care about her hair. I care about her hypocrisy. I'm hoping.
I mean, the hair is a little.
If she was a real Christian underneath all this, I think you'd see a little humility and a little things coming out. I judge her by her actions, and I'm looking at it, and I see just a hypocrite who is sitting in a job and doing what the producer in her ear is saying to do. And when the hot mic was there, that was her heart coming out. That's what she. believes.
Why be upset, Tom? If she likes Trump's hair, why does that upset you?
Yeah, why is that not?
Why is it something that
like
gets you to be bitter about it? There's so many other things in life to be bitter about. You're upset with the fact that she likes Trump's hair.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
I mean,
this is America. I mean, we were at the...
I'm actually trying just to get to the heart of the person and say, let's evaluate the person and just close my eyes.
How can you get to the heart of the person when you don't look at the top of their head, Tom? You got to start somewhere, and that's the Trump attitude of no war, blah, blah, blah. She sounds like Trump, but when she's not in front of the MSNBC camera, she's America's racist, everything sucks, bring on the illegals. But when the mic's off, she's anti-war and she's just like us. But it's weird that she's basically sold her soul for money, for the paycheck, to lie to everybody.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that?
I think 100%. She's one of these, like, and we talked about this. How much are you willing? Because I know, Adam, we talked about this. Like, if somebody gave you $100 million, would you do such and this? I wouldn't be able to do it because of my soul. I can't look at the American people and go, everybody's racist. Let's keep giving money to Ukraine. This is this. Oh, it's not called pedophile. It's called minor attracted person. I can't do it. I can't do it. And this is proof that she's somebody different in front of the camera, but behind closed doors, she sounds like Donald Trump. She sounds like Trump. And I'm obviously, we're joking about the hair, which is hilarious, by the way. I'm just going to say it. But my point is, like, you have sold your soul. You're not this person. And by the way, The View, probably one of my favorite shows that's out right now. Nothing to me is better television than Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and just a bunch of lonely, angry women just shitting on.
Your show?
I wake up in the morning. The first I watch reruns.
Right, why don't we talk about like some great things that's going on in Vermont? Vermont is debating a millionaire tax, millionaires tax. Massachusetts adds $1 billion to its budget and paid for school lunches with a similar tax. 6 U.S. states, including Massachusetts, have implemented millionaires tax to generate additional revenue, with Massachusetts adding $1 billion to its budget in 2023. Massachusetts imposed a 4% tax on individuals earning over $1 million, with half the proceeds allocated to education and half to transportation. Vermont is considering a similar tax, aiming to impose a 3% tax on individuals' adjusted gross income exceeding $500,000, potentially generating approximately $100 million annually for the state's budget. President Joe Biden has advocated for federal versions of these tax laws, including a proposal for minimum 25% tax on households with a net worth exceeding $100 million. Although some of his other tax increase proposals face hurdles in Republican-controlled House of Representatives. Tom, what are your thoughts on this Vermont millionaire's tax?
Well, there's two parts of that story right there. The first part is very real. Vermont up there, the land of Birkenstocks and Ben & Jerry and some real whack thinking. You're seeing the first chapter of true American socialism in terms of income redistribution. Whenever taxes are raised, people scream, they're redistributing income. Nope. That is redistributing income. How much do you got? I have this much. That's not fair. I'm going to take an extra scoop. Actually, it's worse than that. It goes, did you pay your taxes? What'd you earn this year? I earned this much this year, and I've paid my taxes to Vermont and to the federal government, and I passed an audit. Great. How much do you still have left in the bank? Well, over this amount. Okay, we're going to take 4% of it. That's income redistribution. That is Robin Hood. That is take from the rich and give to the poor. And this is the first step of structural socialism, people. This is the first step, and it's on the books. It's not a threat. It's actually not working. It's implemented in Vermont and Massachusetts and other states behind. So, get ready, buckle up. You're seeing the implementation right here, and it worries me.
Adam,
earlier you talked about perception is reality, right? And if you ask the average person living in Massachusetts or Vermont or any of the states that are possibly going to be advocating for this millionaire tax, they'll be like, why is it fair that these guys make over $1 million a year, have a net worth of $100 million? It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. They don't look into the slippery slope of being like the wealth redistribution. They don't go that further. They don't say, well, that's actually antithetical to how we operate here in capitalistic societies. And they're basically endorsing socialism unbeknownst to them. And that is Bernie Sanders' country, Vermont. So I would not be shocked if that passes.
You would not be shocked if that passes in Vermont. Tom, do you think there's any likelihood that eventually that'll be done in the states, like federal, at the highest level where there'll be a millionaire's tax? You think that'll happen in our lifetime?
Yeah, I think it will. And
federal, not state, federal.
Yeah, federal, I think it will, because 2024, I'll tell you when it'll happen. If the election 2024, I think it will happen at the federal level in March of 2033, when the 2032 president is inaugurated. I think that's when you're finally going to see it at the federal level. I'm counting the elections here, and I'm counting the years, and I think it's 8 years away.
The scariest thing to me is this $500,000 3%, because when you throw out ridiculous numbers of tax, if you're worth $100 million, most people are just like, who knows how many people like that? We know $150 million ain't what it used to be.
It ain't what it used to be, man.
We all know that. But we know plenty of guys who are making $500,000 a year, and now they're going to take 3% more when you're already basically paying the progressive tax rates. So it's frustrating for high income earners, because this is it disincentivizes.
That's the key. That's the key. If you keep doing that and you keep going after those guys, it's your the incentive to want to work your ass off to your business, and you're literally a slave to your business for many, many years. You don't have a life for many, many years. The difference between maybe a second gen, third gen, where you're getting the money from your family and that's passed down to you, and even that is the family worked hard to be able to pass it down to the kids, and there's stipulations on how you pass that money over to them. But you have to incentivize younger people willing to work hard and make that money and keep that money. But apparently that's not something that's popular in the state of Vermont. I got a movie I want to show you, and a movie of Alexander that's come out. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. Two, I got a video I saw the other day by someone that I just want to share and get your thoughts on this. And last but not least, we got another video of McMahon interview of a former employee. This is an older interview for us to watch. Then I got two other stories, and then we'll wrap up with Musk. Rob, go ahead and play this clip. I don't know who sent this to me, but I didn't want to say what she said. I just wanted to share it because she makes a very interesting point, and I want to talk about this. Go ahead and play this, Rob.
1% of the population control the world. 4% of the population are their puppets. 90% of this population is a zombie, is a sleeping zombie. And 5% are trying to wake up the zombies.
Did you get
the
it?
1% make sure that the 4% stop the 5% from waking up the 90%.
Do it again. Play it again.
This is not a war between two religions. This is not
Play it
an
again.
ethnic
Play it
war.
again. Okay, so pause it first. So again, we caught the first one, which was what? 1% runs the world. 4% are their puppets. 90% are zombies. 5% are trying to fight the 1% from controlling the world. And then she gives a second part. Play it again, Rob.
1% of the population control the world. 4% of the population are their puppets. 90% of this population is a zombie, is a sleeping zombie. And 5% are trying to wake up the zombies. The 1% make sure that the 4% stop the 5% from waking up the 90%. Wow. This is not a war between two religions. This is not an ethnic war. This is not a racist war. It's none of these. This is the oldest trick in the book. Divide and conquer. This is what war does. They create the division. They make sure you are racist. You're controlled by fear. You're breeding hate in order to divide so they can conquer. Do you know how a magician does his trick? So basically, he has a plan, and in order for him to do the trick without you noticing, he does this loud and thing here so it distracts you constantly. While this is happening, he slowly creeps up from behind to implement his magic trick, and then magic. That's exactly what the politicians do. They are distracting us with, we are not human, this is a human, not this color, this race, this religion, in order for them to
What's her name? Can we give her, can you see if the name is given on who this is? See if to zoom out a little bit to see if there's a name to it. Okay, there's not a name. Okay, all good. Well, whoever it is, good for you. So again, what was the second part she said? Vinny, you kind of look like you like her. You're not even looking at.
She sounds like someone that I could definitely have dinner with.
Vinny's like, she said too many percentages. All I know is I like her already.
I concurred with the percentages, but basically that 4%.
But did you hear what she said? The 1% is doing everything they can to not allow the 5%
to wake up the 90%.
To wake up the 90%.
But it's true. It's very true. And the brilliant
it's not
part,
racial. It's not religion. It's not any of that.
It's
divide and conquer.
Don't wake them up because the 99%, we have the power. But they're very, very good at making us all fight on some dumb shit.
So guess
That's
what?
Brilliant.
If you're watching this, which one are you a part of? Think about it.
I'm the 5.
Are you part of the 1, the 4, the 5, the 90? Think about the. And by the way, everybody at one point was part of what camp? The 90 camp.
Of course.
Everybody was part of the 90 camp because it's so easy to buy into what these guys are saying. They got the degrees, they got the education, they look good, they look the part. You know, they went to XYZ school. They should know what they're doing, right? They're smarter than me. I should listen to them. And all of a sudden, boom, wait a minute. Nah, pump the brakes. I'm not willing to do that. The game then changes, right, on where it goes to.
What do you think our audience, your audience, is the percentage of they have to be the 5%, I think. These people out here they're awake. We're not woke. We're awake. I think your audience, Pat, is trying to wake up the 90%. I give this audience a really high 5% factor. And I think that 5% has gotten bigger in the past couple, let's say, 7 years. That 5% is getting bigger. But I mean, don't get me wrong. There is no shortage of the sleeping zombie sheep. But I think our audience, I would say, is of that. It's a big chunk of that 5% that are trying to wake everybody up.
Part of the 90s are waking up.
I agree. But I'm
with you.
I think because I read the comments. I know some people are like, why is Vinny so angry? I'm passionate and I'm trying to wake up the 90%, and you can't whisper to that 90. You have to slap them in the head and yell, and that's why I'm amped up at 9 o'clock in the morning on some volts.
Let's go.
But I do think that 90% time you nailed it, bro. They're slowly starting to be like, huh? You know what I mean? They're waking up, and I give a credit to our audience because I'm in the chat, and these cats we're awake, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, this is the whole conversation with the red pill versus the blue pill, whether it's in life, whether it's in politics, whether it's dating, whether it's intersexual dynamics, whatever it is. Do you want to be asleep at the wheel and not know anything, the blue pill, or do you want to know the difficult reality, the truth of life, which is the red pill? And obviously, I think our audience is obviously on the red pill side of things.
Yep.
No doubt. But that's the reality of things, is that once what you talk about, peeling back the curtain.
The curtain's open.
This is what's happening over here, guys.
Can't go back, Adam.
Most people are like, I don't want to even see what the hell's going on back there.
Yeah. That's it.
But that's the reality.
No, you nailed it, Adam, because that's the people are like, don't even touch the curtain, because when you hear that saying, ignorance is bliss, and we know those people like, I can't change. And I think that's the problem. Ignorance isn't bliss. Ignorance is ignorant. It's ignorant.
So you asked the question on what percentage, who watches, who's our audience, right? It's so interesting, Rob. I sent you a clip, if you can pull that up. I'm at Dylan's game the other day, and the coach of the opposing team, when I'm walking in, he stops me. And he says, man, I got to tell you, I never missed a podcast. And I start talking to him. I says, but he tells me something very, very interesting, Rob, if it came your way or not, for you to pull it up. Our audience is a very interesting. There's a lot of audience. Our big part of our audience is people that also disagree with us.
I know
who watch. Who are kind of like not necessarily that they hate you. They watch it to find leaks in our argument, but they're secretly closet people who can reason. And they're afraid of their ability to reason that could get them to be like, oh my, I'm agreeing with this. I don't want to agree with this, but this is fucking wrong. This is right, a little bit right on what they're talking about. Not because we're always right, and not because we're, know exactly what we're talking about. It's just we're reasonable people that have the ability to see BS on all sides and the gamesmanship, and have realized that this thing went from being Republican and Democrat to when to left versus right, to when to vax versus not taking a vax, to when force to freedom, to when to establishment, anti-establishment, to eventually, look, man, I'm part of the freedom camp. They're part of the force camp. I'm not good with the force camp. I'm part of the freedom camp. This is what I'm willing to do, Rob. If the video is not shown, is it showing on your end or no? Because
I have it on my phone. I just have to send it to this computer.
Okay, got it. If you can do that, that'd be great. Because this guy pulled me aside, and man, I just want to show this thing. I don't know why it's giving me a hard time, because maybe I'm on Wi-Fi.
Did you post it on Instagram?
Let me see. I haven't posted it yet. Let me see if this is going to work.
And this is what game, Pat? What is it?
Dylan's playing a game.
Soccer?
It's a soccer game. He's playing a soccer game, and he says this. Anyway, it's not pulling up on mine. Rob, if it's also not pulling up on yours, are you able to get it or no? Okay, let's see if he's got it, because I don't have it.
And this is just a parent.
He's a coach.
The other coach.
The coach of the opposing team.
Got you.
Pulls me aside,
playing for keeps.
And I said, "You're okay if I record this?" He says, "Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Go ahead and play this clip. See if it's."
Oh yeah, I saw this video. This is great.
Play it.
The Latino guy.
So I'm pulling up to Dylan's soccer game he's got here, and he pulls me aside, and Mauro says the following to me. Mauro, what did you just say?
I'm a Democrat, but I watch all PBD's podcasts.
So why do you watch it as a Democrat?
Because I like to see both points of view,
okay,
and I respect all opinions.
Mauro, what do you disagree with me on? Tell me, like, if there's 3 areas that, like, Pat, I disagree with you in the following areas, what would those be?
That's a tough question.
I don't know.
You got to think about it?
Yeah, I do.
What business are you? What do you do?
I'm a coach. I'm a soccer coach.
Yeah, you can possibly. By the way, he was the head coach of the other side, who pulls. And you know what? But I'm still watching the content. So again, you can be part of the 90 who wants to go into the 5, and you want to be able to think for yourself, and you're allowing the arguments to go through the test. Mm-hmm. Is this a solid argument or not? It is very hard to go through that. But for the people that do that, you're going to get to the other side, and it's going to be something for you. You're going to say, oh, I never thought this was going to be me on this end of the spectrum. But another thing to be thinking about, for the longest time, have you ever seen the movie Alexander the Great, the original one with Colin Farrell, the one that came out where it wasn't good. It actually flopped.
It was like, it was just something to kill time.
And I'm a Colin Farrell guy. So I remember Colin Farrell from a movie, The Tigerland or something, like the old one. I don't know if you've seen it.
The Recruit too with Al Pacino.
He's phenomenal. So this movie wasn't that good of a movie. He's done better movies. And I was hoping for another Alexander to come out, and it did come out. On Netflix. Rob, can you pull up this picture? This is not a joke.
Good looking guy.
This just came out on Netflix. You know how long it takes for him to make out with another naked man?
Time out.
How long do you think it takes?
Time out. You're dead serious? I didn't even know where you were going.
How long do you think before this documentary
10 minutes.
8 minutes. He's kissing another naked man in the Alexander, The Making of a God documentary.
Nice.
You know?
Yes, Tommy had a nice butt. So anyway, get back to...
No, but the point is, like, listen.
Tom, I know you're thinking.
you want to learn more about what's going on, and they want to put they can't help them. Their obsession with the sword fight between eggplants, right? It's like, I don't know any other proper. Is that the more? Why you guys are more American?
I've never heard sword fight with eggplants.
Yeah. I've heard sword fight.
It's the eggplant sword fight.
Never heard of. The conjoined.
They're obsessed with it. I don't know what it is. Like pow, 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 pow. That's what they want.
Wait, was he gay in real life?
Was who?
Alexander?
No, but this is 2,000 years ago when the guy.
When his lover died, he held a 3-day funeral, and it was like a month-long mourning.
Yeah. Anyways, I was hoping to see a documentary on Alexander with my kids, but obviously after seeing what's going on in the first 8 minutes, folks, if you got kids, this is not a doc for your kids. I just wanted to put that out there. Vince McMahon. A lot of stories have come out with Vince McMahon, right?
This guy.
A lot of stories have come out with Vince McMahon. Did he do it? Did he not do it? You know, the word that I disagreed that they're using with Vince is what? Human trafficking.
Yeah. We've
trafficking.
heard this one before.
Yeah.
But the key word is human trafficking.
Yep.
Human trafficking is one thing, okay? That's not a where you're actually trafficking people, making money. It's a business model, all of that you're doing, that Epstein and some people who are been accused of in politics that have been involved in on that island, that the report is going to be coming out with more names, and Whitney Webb and those types of things. Well, she wrote a couple books on it. This is a bit of an older interview with Vince McMahon. Somebody sent me. I think it's worth watching. Go ahead and play this, Rob.
There is sexual harassment amongst the wrestlers or employees of the World Wrestling Federation today.
There is a possibility of that. That's why I have these independent investigators to come in.
And who are these independent investigators?
Fairfax Group Limited.
Would you therefore believe that because of all these allegations coming forward and more corroborating evidence proving that there's no doubt sexual harassment is running rampant in the World Wrestling Federation, that you are definitely going to come public and do something about it?
Why wouldn't I?
Because you haven't done anything about it until it became public, because you thought it was underwater.
Because I had no knowledge of it.
I made knowledge of it to you when I was fired, and you just blew it off and let me go. I retained a lawyer.
Because you were not very good. You were not a very good announcer. You could not. That's the only reason why you got job.
I didn't sleep with your vice president. 2 weeks later, I'm fired.
Why didn't you say right then? Why didn't you say, hey, look, Vince, your vice president made a pass at me? You never told me that. No one had any knowledge. Human Resources had no knowledge of that. Rene Dubose was waiting to hear your story. Why did you wait 6 months? You asked me for $160,000 today, otherwise you were coming on this program. I'm happy you're on this program.
Mr. McMahon, do not try to deflect the truth here. First and foremost,
what are you asking for? How much money have you asked for?
I have never asked for any amount of money from you. You have tried to buy me off to shut up so I wouldn't come forward and tell of these allegations that's running through the World Wrestling Federation.
Do you? I mean, listen.
Wow. So
go ahead.
What year was that?
I don't know what year that is, Rob. It's an older video because he definitely doesn't look like that. 1992, 32 years ago.
92? Was the vice president a female that was trying to hit on this guy? Or was it a guy?
Nah, they were, sword fighting.
There have been accusations of homosexual
activities.
Yes, with underage children in the WWF as far back as the 80s. There were a group of boys, I believe they were called the Ring Boys, who accused certain WWE executives of having sex with them while they were underage. I mean, these allegations against Vince McMahon are nothing new. They go back to the 80s. There have been women that claim that he forced the woman to give him sexual favors in limousines. He was sued by Brock Lesnar's wife after she was fired from the WWF back in, I'd like to say, the late 90s, early 2000s. She sued him for sexual harassment as well. And Brock Lesnar and Vince McMahon are also implicated in these latest accusations.
By the way, there's nothing to me. All that stuff is, you say all the stuff that you say. You know what's got more credibility with me than anything else? When your kids don't want to be in business with you. Okay, that's the biggest thing. His kids stepped away, don't want to have anything to do with him.
Wow.
That's when that to me.
Oh yeah.
You can say whatever you want, man. You can say all that stuff. That's why when Hillary Clinton said, "What about Trump?" Your kids, right? Can you pull up if this guy's kids don't want to have anything to do with him? And you got to realize, like, when I mean nothing, they stepped away. Stephanie McMahon has resigned from WWE. Co-chair, executive officer, and chairwoman of her father, Vince, was unanimously reelected as the company's executive chairman. Stephanie McMahon returned from a leave of absence July to take over as a co-CEO, and Vince retired amid allegations of sexual misconduct. This is when, by the way?
2023.
This is a year ago.
Yeah, last year it came out that Vince had paid around $12 million to keep certain sexual harassment allegations quiet. He stepped away from the board. He then came back to the company, at which point Stephanie walked away. And Stephanie was running the company with her husband, Triple H, who used to be a wrestler and is now a high up in the company.
Wow. Yeah, and so did the brother also step away. So the brother also stepped away. So both of them stepped away. Shane McMahon's departure from WWE happened as a direct result of events of Royal Rumble. His dropping out on January 10th. So it's common. So now, while this is going on, who bought WWE? What organization bought WWE?
Same organization that I think owns UFC.
So guess what Rahm Emanuel does in the last 2 weeks?
What?
Very interesting move.
The TKO Group.
The TKO Group. You know who they just brought to be a board member of WWE?
Who?
Who is who? Who is the most beloved guy who's got a crystal clear.
The Rock?
Yeah, he's got a clean cut guy you bring in. The Rock is officially a member of the board of directors of the TKO. They have to do this. It's a great move.
Yeah.
And The Rock is the right guy to come in to do something like this because they need somebody that's stable. They need somebody that's reliable. They need somebody for this space that's dependable. And apparently there was a major event this last week for wrestling with him against the other guy. What's the guy's name?
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. Yeah, apparently they called it like one of the biggest events of all time. Did you follow it or no?
Yeah, it's so dorky. Sorry.
Rob, we know. Go ahead. I want to hear
follow
this.
some of this stuff. Yes, they brought The Rock back as a surprise on Friday night, and he's going to now face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. The big thing in the wrestling community is that there was a guy who won when you win the Royal Rumble, the pay-per-view before WrestleMania, if you win that, you get a shot at the WrestleMania main event to face whoever the champion is for the belt. This guy won it, and then The Rock comes out on Friday night, surprises everybody. He hugs the guy that won the Royal Rumble. That guy leaves the ring, and then Roman Reigns versus The Rock is the big hype for WrestleMania. So they're making this big push to put The Rock up in the main event so people aren't focusing so much on what's going on with the allegations, and they're focused on this. Look, it worked for me.
By the way, guys,
It's called the genius of Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, yeah. If you guys are wondering, Rob is 100% going to a monster truck race this weekend. 100%.
Yeah, by the way, Rob, loved you when you were part of the Bushwhackers crew.
Bushwhacker Brothers. The Bushwhack Brothers.
Pull those guys up.
Sardines.
Those guys
the
are amazing.
Bushwhack Brothers.
Licking each other on the head. Rob, you were part of the Bushwhackers crew.
If you're not related to these guys, then we're never talking again. The Bushwhack Brothers.
100%.
Look at Rob. Look at Rob and his cousin. Look at that.
These guys video.
Eating sardines and licking people's faces.
Wrestling was great. Make wrestling great again.
I love it.
Here's what I can tell you about Vince McMahon. All these allegations, human trafficking allegations, sexual misconduct allegations, sexual harassment allegations, all allegations. But I'm very comfortable with labeling him a total creep. We all know some creepy ass dudes out there. You've heard these stories about what he's doing with the girl with the dildos.
The text is insane. I couldn't read it. I was just like, okay, I'm
some
good.
Some of the weirdest stuff ever. Total creep.
Like all
Vince
those texts.
McMahon.
That's just. I mean, that's a regular, Saturday night for Tom. But for him, that's disgusting.
Tom, it's gonna be okay.
I love Tom.
Okay, so.
Do we have any other stories, Pat?
We have 2 stories left. Do we want to do Haley? Do we want to do Musk and board? Do we want to do dad loses custody for refusing trans? Which one do you want to do?
The dad. That story is just, people got to know. Because this is another.
You pick the other one.
What were the 3?
So
Musk,
you got dad
Haley.
loses custody, Musk or Haley.
Let's do dad and finish on Musk.
Okay, that's what we're doing. All right, dad loses custody for refusing to trans son. All right, here we go.
Oh, my God.
This is the PJ Media story. A New York father, Dennis Hannon, has lost custody of his son, Matthew, for opposing transgender medical treatment for the child, who later expressed a desire to live as his biological sex. So think about it. Originally, he wanted to sex change, transgender, and eventually he's like, nah, man, I just want to stay where I am right now. Matthew's mother began taking him to a transgender therapist when he was only
How old? I was saving this. How old?
5 years old.
5 years old.
She belongs in jail.
That's where my point is.
And the boy was recommended for puberty blockers before the age of 9.
Yep.
Then This is in New York?
New York, that's how
Dennis Hannon was unaware of his son's therapy and transgender identification as Matthew did not express these feelings with him. The situation came to light when Dennis received a letter from Matthew's kindergarten addressed to the parent or guardian of Ruby Rose Hannon. Despite never being diagnosed with gender dysphoria by medical professionals, Matthew was on the fast track to receive puberty blockers. Dennis Hannon's effort to terminate Matthew's counseling and protect him from potential medical harm resulted in him losing custody, spending over $150,000 in legal fees. Damn, that's a lot of money. And being ordered to pay attorney fees for Matthew's mother. Wow, Vinny.
Is that like, guys, first of all, and again, how many times am I going to bash New York? And I mean, I love New York. My entire family's still there daily. But, dude, what? New York is completely lost it. That's some evil shit. And you nailed it. How is the mother not in prison for 20 years? Are you kidding me? The father, by the way, the father lost his retirement, dude, $150,000. And then guess what? The son was like, no, I'm not Ruby. I'm going back to being a boy. Like, if that right there isn't telling you that that's just evil incarnate live in front of your face, and this poor guy's life is ruined, and they're siding with the mother. What are we talking about? Like, is this real life?
Tom, 5 years old. First of all, is that even legal?
In New York, it is.
Tom.
Well, apparently it is legal in New York, and there's some sort of counselor, and the school was in on it or cooperating with it because sending the note to the guardian, the parent or guardian of Ruby Rose. So the school was accepting or, facilitating or participating in calling him by this alternative name, not his given name, and number one. And number two, there's absolutely the shocking thing to me is that what the outrageous thing is that there's no outrage, right? There's no outrage on the school. Oh, a 5-year-old wants to do this? Okay, wait a minute. So he wants, it's just shocking to me because kids go back and forth all the time on what toy they like. And now you're going to start giving them puberty blockers and chemicals to make permanent life change at 5 years old. Come on.
So, the age-old question is this nature versus nurture? Clearly, this is a nurture situation right here. But we covered that. This was a story. I didn't want to focus on this particular specific story. I don't know what happened. It's ridiculous.
It's disgusting.
But what I do want to focus on is basically what's happening to America. So this is an article from the Daily Mail, January 22nd. The rates of gender dysphoria have increased in every U.S. state except South Dakota from 2018 to 2023. Okay, with the sharpest rises seen in Virginia, of all cases. So they basically break down what states this gender dysphoria has been sort of rearing its ugly head more than anything, and what states it's actually been decreasing, or the smallest amounts. Top 10 states, Virginia up 274%.
What?
Then you got Indiana, 247, Utah, 193, Alaska, 183, South Carolina, 171%, Delaware, 170, Kansas, 147, Washington State, 145, Colorado, 145, Maine, 135. This isn't a red or blue thing, okay? These are states all across the country. In each of these states with the smallest increases, the least, South Dakota, only 23%.
You know why? Because it's the snow and nobody's there.
But then Hawaii, only 6%, Connecticut, 10%, Iowa, Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and even New York, all on the bottom 10 of states.
Who's the minus 23, Rob? Who's the minus 23?
That is South Dakota.
Okay, good. And Florida's at 35?
Yes. So it's up in every single state across the country except South Dakota. Kristi Noem, right?
So the LGBTQ, all that push, all that T. Oh, there's the T. Look at how that. Remember, we were talking about that small minority. It's working. Yep. It is working, bro. Dude, 193% in Utah. That means everybody's going to be trans.
That's insane.
That's bananas.
This is what I'm saying.
That's Mormon town.
This is in every state across the country, red or blue or purple. It's very weird.
Rob, who's the 274? Is that Virginia? The 274?
Yes. Mm-hmm. 27. They're number one. They're leading the league.
Dude.
Right outside of D.C.
Rob, you're
talking about these policies. This is shocking. This is weird. Gender dysphoria is skyrocketing in America.
I would love to know why it's only 6% in Hawaii. Is it Hawaiian Samoans? Is it something that within their culture that's not accepted? Like, I would love to learn more about the 6%.
Well, take a look at the top, Pat. This is gender dysphoria diagnoses. So where you've got the radical school board, I know something about these stats. Adam's correct to pull this up like this. But you dive into deeply in these stats, and you have a couple things. One, you have year-over-year change. Like in Indiana, the year-over-year change 247% because only recently did they get onto school boards and they wanted to start diagnosing it. So if it was very small before, Pat, lost big numbers and lost small numbers, that if you had 10 before, but now you've got 37, oh my gosh, we're up 270%, right? And so you've got school boards now that become woke and say, well, that's gender dysphoria. That's gender dysphoria. That's gender dysphoria. That's gender dysphoria. And so you have radicalized school boards that are creating guidance counselors. Remember, this is not medical diagnosis. This is psychologist and psychic diagnosis, which have this incredible low standard. It's not like, do you have leukemia or do you not? This is arbitrary. Very arbitrary and very subjective at the hands of practitioners who may be woke and more likely to say, oh, you're depressed, you don't feel accepted. Maybe it's just the real you is trapped in the wrong body.
Oh, geez.
And you say that to a confused 13-year-old and they're like, maybe I am. Tell you what, I'll go get my gun and I'll come back and I'll write a letter about white people. I'll be right back. And you get a shooter.
Yeah. And this is where you see in high schools in Gen Z where boys are more likely to be trending conservative and girls are more likely to be trending liberal. You see stories pop up where they're putting tampons in the boys' bathroom. We saw that happen in Canada. Bless you, Pat. Sneezing on the truth.
Pat's allergic to that bullshit.
I think there was recently another story out here where they're allergic to that bullshit. And
Connecticut is where it happened.
It was in Connecticut.
And within minutes of it being put up, the students tore it down in the bathroom.
Of course.
Good.
Especially the boys.
All that testosterone.
And then you have this stat that we talked about last week where Gen Z is more likely to identify as LGBTQ than Republican.
Jeez.
Yeah, well, listen,
weird stuff.
That stat right there gives a lot of perspective on what's going on in America. Let's do the last story here before we wrap up with Elon Musk. So Elon Musk has had a rough week, to say the least. He's being targeted left and right. These guys just don't want to see this guy do anything. Tesla's board first faces a tornado situation after Musk's $55 billion pay package was struck down, analysts say. Now, let's break down what this $55 pay package is. Wedbush Securities, a financial advisory firm, released a report on Friday calling the decision an absolute shocker. It now creates a tornado situation for Tesla's board in the next move. With the street closely watching this poker move and potential statement, the report said. The report added that Tesla had not yet made an official statement and that the precise ripple effect remained to be seen. Ruling found that Musk's $55 billion compensation package was beyond the bounds of reasonable judgment. The court ruled in favor of the plaintiff, a Tesla shareholder who argued that Musk had unduly influenced the pay plan through his close personal relationship with board members. Put simply, neither the compensation committee nor the board acted in the best interest of the company when negotiating Musk's compensation plan, said the judge. McCormick of Delaware Court of Chancery wrote, in fact, this is barely any evidence of negotiation. Okay, so that's being shut down because of a judge. Then, at the same time, look at the timing of all these things that are taking place. The next day, so this story I just read you is February 3rd. Look at the story on February 4th. Interesting. Maybe they're targeting, maybe they're not, but there's a lot of coincidence here taking place. So February 4th, story with Elon Musk is Elon Musk told to go to rehab with friends, by concerned friends. Elon Musk was asked to go to billionaire Larry Ellison's Hawaiian Island to dry out from the drugs around the winter of 2022. When other friends had expressed their worry, report says the Wall Street Journal. Witnesses revealed that Musk used drugs such as LSD, cocaine, ecstasy, and psychedelic mushrooms, often at exclusive parties where guests signed NDAs and handed their phones, as Wall Street Journal. Concerns about Musk's drug use extended to the potential consequences for his businesses, including jeopardizing SpaceX's government contracts, leading to resignations at the top of his companies and raising doubts about his ability to manage them effectively, according to Wall Street Journal resources. Tom, what's going on here with Elon Musk, Tesla, and the board?
Okay, 2 facts. Fact number 1, does Elon Musk microdose or use mushrooms? Yes, he even said
allegedly.
Well, he said
not allegedly. He said he does. Have I microdosed? Yeah, I've microdosed.
We've seen him smoke weed. It's all good.
And he smoked weed on Joe Rogan's podcast. Okay, let me tell you, 70% of Silicon Valley does this. You know, I know many people there that smoke grass like drinking water, and
smoke grass
and get high, however you want to put it, whatever
going, Tom,
the cultural thing is.
Don't let him
and microdose. It's not uncommon. So, okay, does Elon Musk do that? Yeah. Has he been arrested for DWI? No. Has he had pictures taken in the VIP of a club so out of his mind he can't stand? Like probably 12% of NBA's point guards just last year. No. No, that hasn't happened, right? So look at what's not happened. Did somebody probably say, hey, man, you're under a lot of stress, you know, maybe take it easy a little bit. Maybe go out and hang with Larry. Just go out to the island for a minute. That is a hell of a long way from, go to rehab. And if you're going to go to rehab, you're not going to go to Larry Ellison's island. They're going to send you to Promises in Malibu. And so what is happening here? There's point 1. Point 1, does he? Sure. But so does the rest of them. Point 2, is he maintaining, extending, and driving the one free speech platform that we truly have in social media during election year? Yes. Do you think that they're using point 1 to get at point 2? That's exactly what's happening. I'm on record. This is hit. This is pure hit.
And by the way, so when you're looking at this is the argument. Wall Street Journal writes the story. You have to know who likes him, who doesn't like him. Just always be aware of who likes and who doesn't like. So this is, if you can get Rob all of them, start off with the first one here. If you can go to, the first one is the one on cumulative return. Go to that one first, the cumulative return. So this is from Wall Street Journal. That's not the one, the other one. Yeah, if you can go to cumulative return. Okay, so check this out. Magnificent 7, right? In 2023, Magnificent 7 did 75%, okay? Rest of S&P 500 did 12%. It's very important to know this. 7 companies, right? They did 75%. Rest of S&P, 12%. We've seen this before. However, then WSJ breaks down of who's the best performing Magnificent 7. So go to that one next, Rob. When you go to this one, Tesla's at the bottom. It's down 25%. Everything else is pretty much up except for one. But the Magnificent 7, lowest ranking one, is Tesla. So, okay, fair enough. Go to the next one. On the next chart, it shows you what Tesla's done from beginning of, November 2023 to now, goes up, comes down, it's down. The numbers are not looking good from where it was at to where it's at today. And last but not least, if you break down the last chart, this is what they show, the fact that Max 7 is bigger than country weights combined. Their MSCI of all country world index combined isn't as big as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Alphabet, Tesla, Meta. That means Japan, France, China, UK combined are not as big as those guys. So now let's go through Tesla. Couple things. The debate being made with Tesla, this isn't anything new, is whenever you're selling your business to the market, if you're a car company, if you're just a automotive company, so type in most valuable automotive companies in the world. Okay, most valuable automotive companies in America. Just type in America, it's fine.
Not even close.
In America. Okay, so check this out. So go to this right there. Okay, right there. Right, click on that one. It's fine. Go to the world. What year is that, Rob? Just so we can see. 20. It's fine. Go with that one. October's late enough.
Fourth quarter last year.
Yeah, so zoom in. Tesla. Look what they have. Tesla, $801 billion.
Wow.
Toyota is $244, 3 times plus than Toyota. Then you got BYD.
Chinese largest EV competing with Tesla.
Then you got Porsche, $86 billion. Vinny, Porsche is 10 times less valuable than Tesla. Okay. Mercedes-Benz is 12 times less valuable than Tesla. So is all Volkswagen. Volkswagen that owns, I think, Audi, if I'm not mistaken, and Lambo. I may be off on who they own. Okay, Stellantis, Ferrari, Honda.
Stellantis is the new fancy word for Chrysler.
These are
Honda is a $55 billion company. Tesla's an $800 billion company. So the market could be reacting many different ways to say, hey, Elon, you told us this is a technology company, but is it really? Or is it just an automotive company? If it's an automotive company, if you type in, Rob, the same exact thing, go type in the same exact thing you did, just go back one and you change one word, okay? Type in, not most valuable companies, automotive companies with the biggest top-line revenue, okay? Biggest revenue, okay? Not most valuable, take that out and just make it revenue. Yeah. Let's see what comes up. Purely revenue. Let's see what comes up. Zoom in. Now watch what happens, okay? Number one is what? Look at revenue now. Wow. Zoom in. The revenue for Volkswagen is $335. Then it's Toyota $296. Ford $172. Where do you see Tesla? Keep going down.
Not even the top 10.
Keep going down. 11th place. By the way, their revenue is $95 billion, which is how much less than first place? Go to first place.
Less than Stellantis, a brand you've probably never even heard of.
A fourth, pretty much, of Volkswagen. Wow. Hyundai, if I told you Hyundai did more revenue last year than Tesla, you would probably... Somebody should go out there asking questions saying, who do you think had a bigger top-line revenue last year, Hyundai or Tesla? Out of 100 people, how many people think are going to say Hyundai?
90. Oh, I'm sorry, Honda. 10,
of course.
Yeah.
So what's the point? The market is simply wanting the answer to a question they asked many years ago. Is this a car company or is this a technology company? Now, no one knows the real answer to the question, okay? Nobody does except for one person. When Elon is asking for a $55 billion package, what's he saying, Tom? If I'm going to be driving value for this company, I need to know that I can make $55 billion. And Elon doesn't ask for salary. Elon is only asking for, not for the negotiations that I've seen over the years, all he asks for is, if I increase the company's valuation, I want this much money. So, for example, he's probably asking, if I'm able to increase Tesla's valuation to $2 trillion, I want to get $55 billion. The average shareholder should say what to that? Yeah, of course. Take it. Take the $55 billion, no problem, right? So this judge is getting in the way. I fully understand what the market's concern is to see if Tesla is going to become a tech-enabled company or not, if Tesla is going to go become a battery company that everybody else is going to use. You know how many people right now around the world are not asking him to use his batteries that he's setting up in America right now? They're going through him. That may take another 3, 5, 10 years until he owns all of it, right? Until he owns all of it. So for the people that are with him and are long-term thinkers, they fully understand what Elon is going through right now. For the people that are concerned, those concerned people are short-term investors that have to go explain to their clients that, guess what? Well, maybe the better thing to do is, Elon's going through a lot of things right now with Twitter and all this other stuff. Yes. There is a combination of the Twitter people that they fear that he controls Twitter. There's a combination of those people that he's too loud on his freedom of speech guy. There's a combination of the people that are waiting for this thing to become a tech-enabled company because the revenues are skyrocketing. There's a combination of the people that are wondering where's the truck, the cyber truck that we thought was going to be XYZ. And there's a combination of him being a mad scientist, which only a mad scientist could run a company to $1 trillion valuation. None of those guys there are alive operating the company. The only person there that's operating the company that started it from nothing to pretty much here, not nothing, too small to what it is here, it's Elon Musk. And on top of that, he runs another company called SpaceX. He runs another company called Twitter. He runs another company called Boring Company. He runs another, I can go on
Neuralink,
and on and on.
They just put their first chip in someone's brain the other day.
He's got 10 kids.
Wow.
So try to figure all that stuff. And he's a celebrity that's going to parties, that's going to gatherings, that's traveling to all these other places. I
love him.
He's got a pretty busy schedule. He's one of one.
Can I ask you a question, Pat?
Yeah.
Quick math. You're good with math, right? Pretty good with math?
I try to be.
Okay. Is 5% a pretty good comp package for like a CEO? Like if you say, hey, valuation increase and what we do here, we'll give you 5%. Is that pretty good?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I happen to know, I won't say it out loud, but we both know a prominent CEO that has been offered as much as 3 times that, right?
Yes.
Like 15%. What's 5% of $1 trillion?
$50 billion.
Wow.
That's exactly the math I was doing earlier when I said $55 billion. He's saying I'm going to increase the valuation to $1.9 trillion.
I was taking it back to comp to people.
I'd have no problem with it. But the judge doesn't understand capitalism. The judge, all they understand is his tweets. The judge doesn't understand what it is to run a company, taking up calls at 3 o'clock in the morning and waking up at 6 o'clock to do a conference call on East Coast. No, you don't know the life of an operator. Anyways, guys, we covered a lot of different things. I think you were going to say something. Did you send something to him too?
No.
Okay.
No, we're good.
All right,
We're
gang,
good.
we covered a lot of topics here today. Again, remember at the beginning, I gave this to you, the hats. Here's what we said. Anybody that orders the Future Looks Bright hat. Right now, we're doing a buy one, get free anyway. So if you order any one of these hats, except for this one, this is the purple and gold series, except for this one, and some of the signature series we have. Any of these that we have, the military, the black, the white, you buy one, you'll get one free. On top of that, order above $70, shipping's on us. On Thursday, I will pick 2 names, random names, and we'll send you a free ticket to the Vault Conference at Palm Beach Convention Center with many. We're going to be making a lot of surprises there with 10,000 other people. We'll spend 3 days together at Palm Beach Convention Center. Take care, everybody. God bless. We'll do it again, I think, Thursday, Rob. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.